man speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while, when will the lonely voice of youth cry what is true? This old world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
Yeah, all right, everybody. Happy Halloween. This is the best I could do for Halloween. Obviously, it was on a trip to Ireland to watch Adam get married and help him with his flat out in the middle of nowhere. Like, unbelievable. Like, what a beautiful place. Wake up in the morning and see horses in a field. It's like, wow. Ireland was lovely. I was sick the day before we left, not seriously, and I was fine on the plane. And then the day we got home, because that was the same day we were mostly on planes all day, uh, I was like, oh, well, whatever. And then Wednesday was a complete catastrophe, and I was in bed asleep all day. So, uh, but my trip over to Ireland, because I've been to Europe, I've been across the pond 3 different times now, was very enlightening. So, if you were looking for a more Halloween themed thing, the best I can do is this. But Lies and Deception are right up the alley of Halloween, and hopefully you can see the pattern that I'm going to try to show to you. With that, I have my Sam Bell. It's here. It's right here. I have my Muppet Cup. Do you have yours? Everybody should have a Muppet Cup. You can buy one at my store. Link below, of course. It's full of Sam Pell. I have my very spooky pirate mug, number 1, which is very spooky. And this has some lovely peppermint tea. I never know which one is which. And then I have my captain's mug, which has some sweet and spicy Good Earth tea, which is excellent. Sweet and spicy original. It's really good tea. I found it, I don't know, 20 years ago. A buddy of mine introduced me to it. It's quite a delicious blend. So yeah, we're gonna talk about lies and deception. And the reason for that is I had to consider where some of this stuff was coming from. And I think people are really confused about the implications of lies and deception. And again, Halloween is all about deception, right? You're dressing up in a costume and pretending to be a monster so that you get a treat. Otherwise, you'll be a monster, right? You have to placate the monster, right? And it's interesting because Jonathan Peugeot put out his Halloween video and he talked about placating the monster. And I was like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. And I've been listening to a lot of his work lately because he's put out a bunch of videos, and yeah, I don't understand what's going on. But I think a lot of things are that we thought were a certain way are turning out a different way. The whole Charlie Kirk thing is just, it continues to get worse by the day, right? Just new scandals or potential scandals or new reasons why things are a problem. And, you know, one way to look at that, I'm not saying this is the right way to look at it. I'm saying one way to look at that is that the whole thing was a deception. And now that we're seeing it more clearly, because nothing's holding together the deception, truths are being revealed, right? And I think that's a healthy way to look at a bunch of things, is that the deceptions are going away. And there's really good reasons for that. Some are being held together by, let's say, individual heroic effort, right? Or the great man, because I do believe partially in the great man theory. And some are not, right? Some are not. Some are being held together by hopes and dreams. And it's all really about hopes and dreams. So, with that, I want to turn to Nassim Taleb, who is not about lies or deception and is quite good at getting you out of such things. The bed of Procrustes is just wonderful. The perfect sucker understands that pigs can stare at pearls, but doesn't realize he can be in an analog situation. Look, guys, I don't know how this happens. I will tell another story about opening books to random pages, because talk about lies and deception. But that was weird. That was very strange. I don't know. Open book, random page, get perfect saying. Yeah, a lot of this is really about where we are in the hierarchy and why lies and deceptions are happening. Because when we look up, we either see perfectly good things or perfectly bad things, especially in the two category binary thinking world of today. Of course, I have a video on binary thinking. Don't fall for binary thinking. You don't live in a binary world, despite all the wonders of digital technology, which is bringing me to you live right now. That does not make the world binary. Uh, you can reduce the world to a binary, but please don't. I'm still no on evil. I think one of the big problems we're having lately is we're having this real crisis of people not realizing that the people that led you there or the thing that led you there, and so, well, we've got to discover what caused this problem, right? Is not going to lead you out. That's not how the world works. It's not going to lead you out. Knowing that you came out of Egypt does not lead you out of Egypt, and it does not lead you into the promised land. That's not how that happens. And so, like, figuring out after 40 years that, oh, well, we came out of Egypt, that should tell us right where the promise, it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way. This doesn't happen. Everyone's obsessed with figuring out how we got here instead of what's happening to us right now. That's part of the deception. The deception is, oh, if we just figure out how we got here or what started this, what the cause was, then we'll be able to fix it. It's ridiculous. It's insane, actually. A bad hierarchy is still bad. Don't climb to the top of a bad hierarchy. If academia got us here, don't more academia. That's not a good idea. If conversation, which has exploded with the internet in so many ways, in so many new forms, seems to correlate with this problem, social media, don't do more of it. Like, don't, what are you doing? And the thing is, value matters, right? But we see value differently at different parts of the hierarchy, right? What's valuable to a millionaire is not $1 million. They have $1 million. That might be valuable to you, but to them, it's a Tuesday. And that causes a lot of deception. That deception is not deliberate. And now you probably want me to prove all of this. So, with that, I shall attempt to do just that. Let me go over what I was told about Europe. Now, obviously, we have to talk about Europe because people are talking about Europe and referring to it, and that is an error. Europe is a continent, right? It's not a country. The United States is not a continent, and it's not a country. It's a federation of nations. These small word problems that we've had are not small. They're kind of huge. Bad propositions and the improper use of propositions is definitely a symptom of where we are. But what I was told about the things across the pond being the Atlantic Ocean in this case, most of them are lies. They're deceptions. A lot of people in the US, at least outside of academia, are Europhiles. They love Europe. They love France. They love England. They love everything that isn't America. It's all better. We came from there. Look at what the old world built for the new world. I mean, we took London Bridge, and I know Bill is like, no, you didn't take London Bridge. It was the third iteration, whatever. We stole castles brick by brick. Like we tried that because we were trying to get the best back. We were trying to get heritage into a new place. And the thing is, in Ireland at least, not Scotland. Scotland had terrible trains, but in Ireland had great trains, way better than the US. But the buses, very inconsistent and not great. There's multiple bus companies, and therefore you need multiple bus cards to ride buses in Dublin. What? There's zero info on how to get visitor passes, visitor bus passes. There's only two places you can get them. One's the airport. Good luck finding signs on that. I now know how to do it, but I didn't when I landed. Um, and the other one is in the middle of Dublin, which if you're in the middle of Dublin, how'd you get there? Right. These things are not well thought through. They're also pretty expensive, all things considered. And getting around by bus, while fun and cool and everything, is not any quicker in Ireland than it is in the US. In fact, it's significantly slower. There's 10,000 bus stops. They're all next to each other, which is mind boggling. They're like, couldn't you just have one bus stop and have all the buses go there? No, apparently not. It's not a good deal. It takes forever to take the bus anywhere. Forever. And the thing is, Ireland was full of traffic. I'm like, how many people live in Dublin? They all seem to have cars. Everyone tells me everyone bikes everywhere. And yeah, there are lots of buses and there are lots of bikes, but there are lots. I mean, far more than I can imagine, even having been there. It's bad. It's really bad. So maybe I don't mind having reservations for the train and having my name where my seat is and, you know, being able to sit across from the person I'm with, and it was all cool and whatever. And the trains are relatively efficient. That's fine, and they're better than the U.S. trains. But a train's a train. It's not that much better. But my goodness, and people don't understand the buses. While they're the same buses in Cork, don't have the same features installed as in Ireland. Plus, none of them worked. So you never knew what stop was what. Stops had between 5 and 10-digit numbers on them. I couldn't make rhyme or reason to that. Google has no idea what's going on with the buses. The app that the bus companies have, or at least that Ireland Transportation or whatever endorses, aren't accurate. It's kind of a nightmare. And they know it. Like if you talk to them, they'll tell you, yeah, the buses are never on time. It's like, okay, fair. Cork was a surprise. Cork was ridiculous. And then we were there when there was a jazz festival going on, and that was a catastrophe of traffic. Catastrophe. Still beautiful, loved it, had a wonderful trip. We'll probably do it again if I ever get the opportunity, which, you never know. Um, there's some things we didn't get to see. There was was an incident with the traffic that prevented us from going on a tour, and there's no refunds for the tours. Yeah, no refund for the tour, even if you can't make it because of traffic. Not the United States. And the thing is, I don't think people realize bicycles are part of the problem. Bicycles are individualistic. They're a transport mechanism where you can transport yourself and almost nothing else. Not great. Not great. Probably evil. Probably. And the thing is, these were all things I was told were better in Europe. They're better over there. They're better not in the United States. There's wonderful stuff in these cities. Yeah, I've been to 3 of them. Well, more than 3 of the cities. I've been to like 5 different or maybe 6 different, places in Europe now, and, not great. I'm sorry, just not as advertised. And the thing is, like, even the bus signs, like, forget about the bus stop numbers, which make no sense and are completely random order as near as anybody can tell. The information that Google has on buses, information on the signs, and the information on the app, on the, like, national app are all different. There's no reason for this. Now, this is my wheelhouse. Like, I know how to bring computer systems into a single source of the truth, we call it. Well known. We were doing it in the 90s, guys. And they don't have it right now. It's 2025, kid. Let's wake up. I mean, now, I mean, to me, that's an easy thing to do. I've done it dozens of times for dozens of companies. But now I'm like, yeah, it's $1,000 an hour because if you're that dumb and you can't make this work, I got to charge you a lot of money. I don't have a choice. It's frustrating. You've got to be getting in your own way at some level because it's real easy work, real easy work. Like one copy of the information in one place and everything accesses that. Well, why is that's a simpler format than any other possible format? Why are we struggling with this shit? What is going on? That's part of the lies and deception that things are getting better. In tech, things are not getting better. We've had like a bunch of AWS outages now. Complexity collapse, anyone? It's all here. So why is this happening? Why do people flat out lie to me about Europe? About the wonders of every other country that isn't my country, even though we're a federation of nations. Cities attract socioeconomically similar people. And it turns out that bus lines aren't the same. Let's forget about Dublin versus Cork. That's a more understandable thing. They have different bus authorities, blah, 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 blah. Already a problem, like already a no. But different bus lines in Dublin have a different quality to them. Now, the easiest way for me to explain this to you is with a bunch of information that I know for certain because I grew up around it. In Boston, on the MBTA, the oldest trolley system in the world, by the way, or subway system in the world, um, there was this way of paying for this thing. Originally, it was privately owned. The government took it over, ruined it immediately because what else can the government ever do with anything than ruin it immediately? Um, the wealthy communities of Newton and Brookline, which are two of the wealthiest places in the state of Massachusetts, pay extra money into the system to have service out there. Now, no one ever uses those lines, relatively speaking. The people that use the lines are Boston University students and a bunch of riffraff south of the city in the less interesting neighborhoods, right? A few other communities pay, above average. So all the communities pay something different, that are on the line. As a result, Brookline in particular, because I think they pay the most actually, or they used to, they get the new buses and the new trolley cars first. And as well they should. Like that makes total sense. Like practice on the wealthy people. They're not in a hurry anyway. They can always take a cab if they get pissed. Um, Also, they just have the better lines. I suspect the same thing happens everywhere. Why? Because I see patterns, my friends. I see patterns. So the buses that are, we'll say, further away from where the upper middle class to wealthy people shop are not as good as the buses in the center of town where all the action is. And to be honest, it wasn't something that I had been tracking my whole life. Things that are for the wealthy or upper middle class are consistent and well run, and those that aren't are not. And so when they regale you with tales of Europe, they are regaling you with tales of New York City, Boston, Washington, D.C., only slightly better in some way for them. And so they end up lying to you by telling you it's better when in fact it's not really better. In some cases, it's much worse, but their experience is better because of where they travel. Because wealth doesn't travel out of area. So everything to them looks great. They travel on the wealthy lines with all the fancy stores and expensive handbags. I apparently, I didn't know this. I couldn't have imagined this. Apparently, there are like $1,000 handbags, and I was like, no one would. It's impossible. Or $3,000 or five. I'm like, no, I can't imagine paying that much money for a. Yeah, I was like, ridiculous. Um, yeah, if you go into that store, that bus is great, man. That's the best bus you ever took. Comes every 5 minutes. It's on time. Sure, why not? Plenty of money there. Because where they are, it's great. Now, how do you hear about Europe if you don't have the means to travel to Europe all the time, like some of these people clearly do, once or twice a year, in some cases more? Um, well, obviously, you're hearing from the people that can travel that often. Now, that was never the case for me. I've been online my whole life. I've been talking to Europeans for years, and so I knew some of the stuff was BS because I'd talk to them and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's not that great. The healthcare is not that great. Trains are not that great. The buses are not that great." Because these people that live in the city, if they wanted to encounter people from different parts of the world because they didn't live in a city and they didn't fit in a city, they went online. And so you have this intermixing on the internet, not of wealthy people because they don't need the internet to intermix. We didn't think of that, did you? Not to say there are no wealthy people on the internet, but also they tend to leave. Clubhouse is a perfect example of that. They don't need that. So the people intermixing on the internet are the middle class to lower middle class to lower class. There's a phenomenon I'm familiar with from my bulletin board system days. There used to be a nice filter to get on the internet called "It's really hard and you have to be smart to figure out all the pieces." That's the short form. We don't have that anymore. Now it's the same as the way you make a phone call, and it's annoying you all the time, and you want to smash it with a hammer, don't you? You should. Interesting, isn't it? So a lot of lies happen as a result of this. It's sample bias. You sample the nice buses, the nice parts of the city, the nice subways, the nice trains. You have a nice experience. You remember it nicely. You tell everybody how wonderful it is. You have a bad experience, it's trauma. You put it away in your head. You don't tell anybody. Very common. Now, upper class people tend to do that more. There's lots of reasons. This isn't the stream for that. Maybe I'll do a video on it someday, but it's a phenomenon. It's been measured. It's a thing. Now, in the sort of new tradition of my wonderful Matrix video, uh, you know, we're going to change course, and then we'll change back because That's what the Matrix did to you. If you didn't see my Matrix video, you need to see that. Now, the thing is, people will tell you up front with the new courses, right? Courses and education has become a thing, right? Everyone's talking about education. They're all lying to you. By the way, education's a deception, effectively, at this point. Maybe it didn't used to be, it sure is now. They'll tell you up front, you take this course, here's what you're going to learn. Okay, that's an obvious lie. You can't know what I'm going to learn. What are you, high? Or are you lying? Well, you're lying. Why did that happen? I mean, it cannot be true. It cannot be true that you know ahead of time what I'm going to learn from what you're telling me. First of all, this is me. I ain't going to learn what you think I'm going to learn for sure. That is never going to happen. Like, that's flat out, straight out of Compton, not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm going to find all kinds of things that you didn't even know were in there, for sure. Well, it happened because we flattened the world. And we said education is just giving somebody a course in something. And so here's the format of a course. First, you want to lay out for the person that you're teaching what you're teaching them. I was like, a good teacher never did that. I never took a course in school where they said you're going to learn. No, they said you will do these things that they would lay out, right? What is a course syllabus? You're going to do this, you're going to read that, you're going to write. A proper syllabus doesn't tell you what you're going to learn, or it never used to. And if it does now, I would argue it's not a proper syllabus. It's a piece of garbage written by somebody trying to enchant you. Because if I tell you up front, this is what I'm going to do, then I'm enchanting you. You may recognize that from a recent Matrix video that I just referenced, by the way. That is a form of enchantment. Words are magic. To some extent, they can be. Boy, that magic does things you don't understand, though. So I'd be real careful. Be precise in your speech, as Dr. Peterson says. But if you're in Europe, you're going to notice there's cameras everywhere, at least in the safe parts of the city. How weird. And I mean everywhere. It was nuts. I'm like, camera. Everywhere you look, there's like 5, 6 cameras in view. It was insane. Completely insane. 3 different hotels in Ireland, by the way. One in Dublin Center, not too far from the center of Dublin anyway. One in Cork, just outside of Cork City, which ended up being a mistake. But again, the jazz festival, what do we know, right? We thought we were going to take buses everywhere. That didn't work in Cork. Bus names and numbers are a mess. Like, just, they have one bus number that goes 3 different places. I don't know how you're supposed to tell them apart, because there wasn't an obvious way to do that. Guess you have to know. If you know, you know. Everywhere we went were cameras. A little weird. Even when we were out by the airport, Dublin Airport, a lovely little town called Swords. Yeah, it's called Swords. They had a castle, pretty little castle, actually. People were like, "Oh, this is not really a defensive castle." I'm looking at it going like, "Oh, bro, let me explain something to you. Look at the way the windows are in this building. There's arrow slits only on the side where the river is, that is connected to the ocean. That ain't that far away, by the way. Um, and all the other windows are large and not arrow slit windows." I don't know, man. I don't know where you get that theory. And there was another source of information, not the one at the castle, that kind of contradicted that. Lies and deception. It's not what you know, it's what you want to believe. But the good news was, even the castle was full of cameras. Everyone was full of freaking cameras. Everyone's watching everybody all the time. And the good part about that is, they could run Swords Castle with just 2 people basically. And man, what a wonderful time. Met a wonderful man in Swords Castle. He was in media, TV, and radio. He preferred radio because he said, you paint pictures with words in radio, and with TV, you don't. And so it makes people mentally lazy. And I thought that was a really interesting observation, actually. I was really impressed with that level of observation. I thought it was cool. But they were able to run it that way because if somebody slipped or whatever on the castle, they were on camera. So you just need fewer workers, which is less jobs, less easy jobs. And this guy obviously was retired or whatever, and wonderful conversation. Too bad it freaking rains all the time in Ireland, but also good because we stayed inside and talked to him. Came back to the castle the next day because we didn't get to see it all because rain. And the thing is, another cause of these lies and deception is people get really optimistic and they start to think that all the bad things are just exceptions. But the truth slips out. And now it looks like you've been lied to because to some extent, you've been lied to. I don't think the person lying to you knew they were lying, but it doesn't matter. It's still a lie and a deception. And probably one of the biggest lies of all is academia. The extent to which academia is pure evil was not really understood by me until we took a tour of Trinity College. Oh, how interesting. So we got to see the Book of Kells, which is just unbelievable, right? Illuminated manuscript. I mean, it's unreal to see it. It really is. And we booked this huge package that enabled us to do all kinds of things, right? And the first one was a tour of the campus. We're on a tour of Trinity College campus. It's given by a student. It's endorsed by Trinity College. And the first thing the student says, and look, I mean, Wikipedia has something similar, is that Trinity College was not designed to be a college. It was put there by Elizabeth the first, to propagandize for Protestantism. And that was the first thing they said. And I was like, what the hell just happened to the world I lived in? Like, are you kidding me right now? I did some preliminary, basic, very, very quick research. And I got news, guys. Uh, it's looking a lot like academia is a Protestant Reformation or Protestant catastrophe problem, and not a good thing at all. When it was the Catholic Church and monasteries, everything was great. Things were integrated. Not so much. And to be fair, Trinity's whole thing was law, medicine, divinity, and science. Not too keen on the science part. Law is a little bit of a problem. Divinity sounds good, but can Protestants really do that? I think not. This is where these problems are coming from. It looks a lot like this modern idea of colleges and universities is very much a post-Reformation thing. I was just listening to, I haven't finished the conversation yet because it's very hard to listen to at some level, at least for me. James Orr and Jonathan Peugeot have a channel together, apparently on YouTube, and they did a convo, and what a disaster. It's a framing nightmare. I mean, it's not like what they're saying is necessarily wrong, although it's like, wow, man, you could just fix all this, tweak 4 words in this whole combo, and everything would make more sense. But the way they're talking about it is just what let us in here is not going to lead us out. Okay, talking people into stupid frameworks because the postmoderns told you could get away with it is not going to fix this. We're not going to use um, what do I want to say? We're not going to use the tools of our enemies against our enemies and get us out of this. And you're not supposed to, by the way. So I don't know what you're thinking. But you gotta stop. This is all that you're living in a deception, and you're thinking you're seeing the way out, but you're not. So one of the things that I did was in Cork, not in Dublin. I didn't find any in Dublin. Maybe I just wasn't in the right place. Dublin's a pretty big place, and we didn't we didn't walk a lot of places in Dublin, unfortunately. There's a bookstore in Cork. It was awesome. And there was a book that I really wanted, a book on maps. And I was like, ooh, books on maps. I'm like, geez, Mark, you've got a million maps. You don't even look at them. You're gonna look at a book on how many books do I have that I haven't read? I mean, so didn't get the book on maps. But on a whim, I said, you know what? I'm gonna grab one of these George R. R. Martin books and pick it up and just turn to a random page and see what I find. I turned to a random page. I don't remember the name of the book. It wasn't the Song of Fire and Ice or whatever, but I think it was part of that stupid series. And, I'm just opening, to a page, although there's 2 pages, right? There's one on each side of the book. And I look down and there is a 2-sentence paragraph. Now, I understand the trend. I know, like, where it came from. It came roughly from blogging and the internet. It didn't contain any dialogue. It wasn't like someone speaking. That wasn't what it was. It was actual, like, exposition writing of the thing. If I had done that in school, my English teacher would have beat me to death, and I would have deserved it. Like, why do people think this guy can write? If that's what you're doing, you can't write. I'm sorry. Like, I've tried to read his garbage several times and gone, "This is complete trash. You're kidding me. People like this? It's trash." It's written at like a 3rd grade level, not a 4th grade level like the newspapers, but like a 3rd grade level. And it occurred to me that this is a deception. And then you know what I did? I picked up a Robert Jordan book from Wheel of Time because I really enjoyed the Wheel of Time series, even though, boy, did it have some problems. But I am pissed that they canceled it. So that's rather having fun. Um, yeah. Also Rosamund Pike and those eyes. But whatever. So I grab a Robert Jordan book, I open a random page, and again, to be fair, I found 2. One of them, however, had dialogue, so it doesn't count. Dialogue, I get it, sure. If you're trying to emulate how somebody speaks, you have a 2-sentence paragraph all day long. It's not a big deal. Like, whatever. It's people talk like that all the time. People don't talk paragraphs. What are you high? Maybe I do, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. So there was another one on the same page. No, this guy writes like garbage trash. Like what? It's a deception that the guys write well. It's a deception. What makes these books good? The writing's not good. It's horrible. How do you do a 2-sentence paragraph, guys? The first sentence is supposed to, generally speaking, in other words, almost always, and if you make an exception, you better freaking know that you're making an exception and do it very carefully. First sentence is supposed to give you the starting premise for the rest of the paragraph. And the last sentence is supposed to wrap everything up. And the middle is supposed to be the just keep with the 2 sentences. You can't do that. So you're not writing a paragraph. What are you doing then? I don't understand. It's not good writing at that point. It's terrible writing. It's written like a 2-year-old. And I'm told these are good books. Enchanting? Yes. Good? No. Not good writing, not good storytelling, not good. There's nothing good about them. They're horrible. I mean, maybe they're good for heating your house in the winter. Okay, maybe. Seems like an inefficient way to do it, but I'm all for it at this point because please don't read that garbage. This is all deception that they're good. And if you think about it, how many people are there that can read a well written book? Okay. Well-written books will never be popular books because well-written books are hard to read. The audience is smaller. Ah, see how that works? Pop books are trash. Pop music is trash. Some pop music is quite good. No pop books are quite good. I mean, I listened to Harry Potter. I don't think I listened to the whole thing. I doubt it. But I might have. I don't know. I was commuting along for work, so I was doing audiobooks on my drive because I could. I don't think they're good stories. I mean, I like the movies because they're movies, but like I don't particularly think she writes well at all. Like it's fine, some interesting ideas, and I think that's what we get caught up in is we think some stories are good and we're deceived because they have interesting ideas that we've never thought of. But that doesn't make it a good idea or a viable idea or an interesting idea. It just makes it novel. And we're stuck in a flood of novelty. And you see these deceptions everywhere. And it's not clear where they're coming from. Are we deceiving ourselves? Like, what are we being deceived by? And on Halloween, one can wonder. And the demons are out today. Let me tell you, okay, man. Uh, Sarah's not here. She had to go up north. She left this morning, and oh my goodness, uh, could use distraction because demon whispering is really big today, as it kind of should be. I learned a lot about Ireland in Ireland. I went to a lot of museums. There were a lot of people at the museums. There were a lot of people around, but they weren't going to museums. Mm, mm. Malahide Castle was fun. That was phenomenal. One thing I learned at the Little Dublin Museum, if you get to Dublin, go to the Little Dublin Museum. They are not kidding when they say it's one of the best small museums ever. It absolutely is. They put on a little play, actually. It's very theatrical, and it's well worth whatever. Like, just go. It's a small museum. It doesn't take long, but it's lovely. Ireland gets its independence and immediately gets into civil war. Very common pattern. Why can't Ireland lead itself? What what made them think that they could? Hmm. And what's missing that they can't? They want to be individuated from England. Fair enough. But they couldn't do it. Why? Fascinating question. I'm not here to give you an answer necessarily or anything, but like there's a deception that the Irish had about themselves and their ability to govern themselves. And it just turns out they can't do it. At least not initially. Are they doing it now? Well, that depends who you talk to. I mean, they had a vote while we were there, and they had a 20% spoiled vote rating. And I was like, whoa, that's fascinating. Which democracy doesn't work, so I don't know why they're doing it. Interestingly, I read and took a picture of their first declaration of their independence from England. And it said they were calling on the ancient idea of nation, which is correct. If you read Colin Woodard, Federation of Nations, Ireland's not a federation of nation, they're just one nation. That was their plea for why they should be independent from England. Brilliant. They couldn't manage it though. They went immediately into civil war. And there's a lot going on there because there's this whole thing about the English that are still there in Northern Ireland and Protestants and but you go to Malahide Castle and you find out, oh, well, they were Catholics, but they were English. But nobody in Malahide starved during the potato famine because the family made sure they didn't. These things are not easy to divide up. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Interestingly, in Cork, of all places, you wouldn't expect, a couple people actually, you know, obviously we're American. It's not that freaking hard to figure out. Uh, A, we're in the tourist sections, and B, we're being touristy, and C, we talk. And when you talk and you're in Ireland, they know what part of Ireland you're from. And if you're not from a part of Ireland, pretty much everybody knows what Americans sound like. Fair enough. It's our TV that rules the airwaves. Two different people in two different circumstances were talking to us about Trump. You guys aren't Trump supporters. That was the first thing they said. Like, excuse me? I didn't realize anybody in Europe was so rude. Of course, I'm a Trump supporter. The one guy, I had to say, we support whoever's the elected official, which isn't true because I didn't support the last elected official, although technically I did because he wasn't elected. Different problem. There have been, quote, elected officials in the past who may or may not have been elected lawfully. We'll say certainly Obama in the second term. That was a complete criminal stealing of an election. Ask me how I know. Maybe I'll do a video on that someday. Still didn't support him. Don't care if it was didn't support him the first time. But anyway, quickly devolved into gun control, where I learned about the United States that 7 children a day die from accidental weapons fire, which obviously is one of the least true facts of all time. Now, the funny part about this, which this poor guy obviously has no way to know, he's been completely propagandized in some way. I mean, I don't like that word, but also, like, what other word would you like to use here? Maybe 7 a year, maybe. Um, Almost in all cases, if you actually bother to look, and most people don't, and fair enough, when a child it dies or gets shot as a result of a weapon improperly stored, uh, it's not a legal gun because drug dealers are irresponsible and they don't buy gun safes like responsible gun owners do. This should be 0% surprising. I I've almost got it. I've been working on this video for a while, like things that go together and like that makes things seem like conspiracies because certain things happen together. Accidental gun deaths and irresponsible scumbag criminals. Of course, there's a link there. I don't know why people don't like inherently know this, but they don't. I think they've traded intuitive, inherent, observational knowledge for logic, reason, rationality, which are garbage. But I don't know. I mean, and then we had a lovely conversation about school shootings, where he said, you know, you guys have school shootings. And I said, Ireland has school shootings, dude. And he said, well, yeah, we haven't had one in 20 years. And I said, okay, that's a fair point. However, Ireland is the size of Maryland, and Maryland has more people. And I don't think Maryland's had a school shooting in 20 years. And he went, oh. And I said, yeah. And we have 50 states. And he went, that's a good point. And I was like, hallelujah. Like, it's a miracle. But then he went back on the gun thing, and because he was sort of nibbling at Sarah about it because she's a girl, uh, I told him eventually. I said, all right, well, it's nuclear weapon time. You can't win these arguments, guys. It's not the reason why you can't win certain arguments is because you're wrong. It's not that hard. There is a truth. It's easy to determine, but whatever. I'll do a video on that someday too, if I can ever figure out how to explain something so absurdly obvious. Um, I said, well, look, you guys still have the English milling around. I know things are sort of quieted down, uh, but we just shot them all and they left. And to be fair, Sarah had made the point earlier, like just prior to that, Like, we founded the country on guns. Like, it's the most salient way to identify the experiment of the United States of America is gun ownership, because that's how it happened. Like, you know, to be more blunt and less polite about it, we shot the English, so they left. Yes, that happened. Like, explicitly happened. Of course, we have gun ownership here. What what to not have gun ownership is to not have America, actually. The 2 things are that tied together. But actually, there's no way around that. Just reality. Everyone who like, all the people who don't know that are the same people, I guarantee you, who will say, "Well, reality is hard to understand," or, "We don't really know reality. We can't really know it." I can know reality just fine. If you can't know reality, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll pray for you, and you're an idiot. Different problem. But the thing is, the reason why lies and deceptions happen is because people mimic what they see, and bubbles matter. If you travel around Europe because you have money, and you travel in the nice sections because you have money, and why would you travel in the bad sections? It makes no sense. You're going to see a better Europe than Europe really is. That's what you're going to see. You're going to act like those wealthy city folk. And maybe they'll go out to the country, to a manor, or whatever. Fine, whatever. I don't mind. But that makes you who you are too. And if you want to be an obnoxious, snobby twat, you can. I'm still going to call you out. And that's the problem. We mimic what we see, and bubbles matter. And we see different things in our world based on what we are around and what is around us and how we grew up, which is to say, how we were formed, not educated. That's just it's a stupid word. We can't use that word anymore. It's completely done. It's done. Plus some randomness, who knows from where, or maybe get traumatized or scared or whatever. The wealthy people see people like them. And this is because wealthy people have more in common across cultures than poor people do. They all travel in the same circles. They'll look at the same sorts of things. Now, poor people do too, but it's still a hierarchy. There's fewer wealthy people, there's more poor people, which means there's more diversity in poverty. So, at the poor end of the spectrum, you get more people living poor in a different poor family. In wealthy circles, it doesn't matter because I have friends both ways, or had one friend who was more than one. I have had friends who were poor that were living with other families because their families were just such a mess. They had to leave. Horror stories. I don't even think I remember them because they were that bad. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for bad memory in that case. And I have wealthy friends who, were transported to other wealthy families. Again, maybe some bad things happened, or usually it's just snooty people don't pay attention to their kids because they're wealthy and selfish. And they can get away with that. A lot of trauma. But wealthy people have more in common because there's less variation in wealth, because it's a smaller set. It's not that hard. Once you understand the hierarchy and momentum and how momentum is different at different layers, everything makes more sense. It's just a big confusion, this level of commonality between wealthy people and the lack of commonality between poor people. And it's not super different, so it's not that much of a problem. But this also explains why wealthy people do the let them eat cake thing. Oh, they're poor. We'll just give them money. No, they're poor because they can't manage money. Not everybody, but most of them, like the overwhelming majority. So you can see where something like diversity is our strength comes from. If you go to a European city, it seems more metropolitan. Why? Why isn't New York City, which is the first or second largest city in the world, just as metropolitan? Languages spoken. That's how. In Europe, we'll just sample size Europe. It's roughly the size of the United States in some ways. But in each state, everybody speaks a different language. And because they're European and they're used to going, much like we would travel to other states, they're used to going to other countries. They're more comfortable speaking their native language on the street. When you go to Ireland, to Dublin in particular, or even Cork, you're going to hear a bunch of different languages, some of which I actually recognize. For however I do this, I don't actually know because I don't know any other languages. I can barely speak English. Thank you very much. Um, but you hear these other languages on the street. I didn't hear that in New York, and not never, but like not to that degree. You didn't hear that in Boston, not to that degree. It was very prevalent. So it's a deception that these cities like Dublin are more metropolitan than Boston or New York. Just seem that way because most of the people that are there, even if they are foreign, they're more likely to speak English on the street because it's just more common not to hear these other languages. You're fooled by lies and the deception of sample bias. And so it may seem when you're in the wealthy class like diversity is your strength because you're all wealthy, even though you speak different languages, even though you're more metropolitan. And the thing was, the fake news virus scandemic, there was a large portion of people who thought that diversity was their strength was going to be proven by this event. And it worked for the upper class and some of the middle class, right? But no one else was fooled by it. No one else was like, "Oh yeah, immigration clearly works," because it you gotta stop thinking that the elite that run the UK are seeing the problem that the people who aren't elite in the UK are seeing. They don't believe that if there are, we'll say, additional rapes of young girls, that that is due to immigration. Because to them, the poor people are all just poor people and they suck. And that came out in I forget which museum, I think it was the Immigration Museum, Emigration Museum, in Dublin, but there was one where it was, "Oh, these poor people like to be poor." And I was like, "Yes, someone wrote that down. Of course they did. Of course they did. Because what those people are like, because I know people like that. They're exactly what they're like." And so to them, it's a poor people problem. It's not a, "Oh, it just happens to all be Muslims" problem, because no, it's a poor people problem. This is how they see the world. They don't see the world in the way that the other people see the world. They don't Englishness isn't a thing because wealthy people have more in common with other wealthy people than they do with their wealthy neighbors. Sorry. Why? Because their uniqueness in their wealth is mirrored in someone else's country better than it's mirrored in their own. Sorry. Just data sets and samples, how they work, how the math happens. I watched I watched this great video that Ignacio, my buddy Ignacio, did with Mathieu Peugeot. Uh, Many of you may know, in fact, I think I've said it before, that I have a video coming out with Mathieu Peugeot. I'm going to release that on Sunday. I just recorded an intro for it and got in the intro animation and all that nonsense and rendered it. I have to redo the transcript. and I'll upload it on Sunday. That's the plan right now, unless Mature, who I did reach out to, has a better suggestion. I'm going to release it on Sunday. My understanding the situation is that that was the last conversation he had before he hibernates for the winter, which he needs to do because Canada, which he talks about, by the way. Um, and so that will be available on Sunday for those of you who want to hear it. And I thought it was a fantastic conversation. I'm super happy with it. Uh, but I was watching Ignacio and Mature Peugeot talk about martial arts, which I found fascinating because I think there's basically a deception in martial arts. We'll say in general, um, and that deception is how it all sort of happened and came together, and what it actually says. And so I watched this thing that I had seen years ago. It was a History Channel special um, called "How Bruce Lee Changed the World." This came out in like 2009, I think. And I watched it again because I hadn't seen it in a while. And it was fascinating because it was Bruce Lee was very individualistic, but he launched all kinds of stuff that no one realizes. Mixed martial arts, Bruce Lee. The whole karate craze that I kind of grew up with kung fu, Bruce Lee. Martial arts movies, Bruce Lee. The Matrix, Bruce Lee. Dun dun dun. In fact, they played some of the Matrix music in the back of this documentary, and I was like, "What? Wait a minute." Protein shakes, Bruce Lee. Whole bunch of exercise stuff, Bruce Lee. Bodybuilding, Bruce Lee. He innovated all kinds of stuff. I always loved Bruce Lee anyway. Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee. And in the talk that Ignacio did with Monsieur Peugeot, they talked about the be like water thing and how dangerous it is. And I agree. There's a lot of deception when you're told the end of something and you're not told the beginning sequences, or you're given the information before you're ready to receive it. And Ignacio and Mature go through that excellently in that video. So please watch it if you have not seen it. And then in the ultimate category of lies and deception, almost as funny as Idiocracy, maybe funnier in some ways. I have been meaning to rewatch Don't Look Up, which came out in 2021, so it's like 4 years old. When it came out and I saw it, completely hysterical. And then when I remembered about it, I said, this movie has to be 10 times funnier now. It has to be. And so I put it on and I watched it with Sarah, and I kept warning her. I said, you will not understand how funny this movie is, because every minute of this movie, it gets funnier. It's going to get funnier. I knew right away because, again, I had seen it. So she was laughing like a fool many times in the movie. If you want to see a flip, watch the movie 4 years ago and then watch the movie now. The flip will become, it was clear to me 4 years ago. The flip will become clear. Also, there's a little image in there that I was trying to explain, talk about mimicking and bubbles. I was trying to explain that scene with the president and the red background was in this movie before that happened in the real world, because the morons, because they're morons, who were running the last administration were the type of people that we'll say were in the inverted side of Don't Look Up, and they thought that was a valid strategy, which is a double inversion. It's very funny. It's very funny. But it is very much the idea of, well, we don't know reality. Well, that's because you won't look up. And it's, of course, more ironic. I mean, they do mention religion and stuff, but it's stacked with irony. Stacked. Anyway, let me read my comments. Let me read my comments. Anselman, this is a world of lies. Well, it doesn't have to be Anselman. Just stop lying. Love the Book of Kells, but seen it only in photographs. It's amazing. It was open to the page. There's only one page with an image of the devil on it, and it was open to that page. So I got to see the Book of Kells image of the devil in person. It was amazing. It was amazing. Um, yeah, it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't as amazing or as good a deal as the campus tour of Trinity. That was great. Our tour guide was awesome, and we were there on a Sunday, so he broke a few rules for us and stuff. Um, they just found out, I guess, recently that the picture of the devil, the image of the devil in the Book of Kells, has 20 stab marks in it from a knife, from a point of a knife that went through to the other page. I was like, "What?" And then, interestingly, although it's too late now, um, they're closing the library this month. Oops. Well, it's already closed by now. They have to fireproof it. There was some fire in France, in Paris, I guess, and a bunch of books got burned and everyone's panicking. So we're closing the library for 10 years. We got to see it like 2 weeks or a week and a half before they closed it. Lucky us. Uh, yeah. Ixnod, novels are novel. Yes, well, maybe. Noah, in retrospect, I wasted a lot of time, energy, and attention with the Wheel of Time series. Hopefully not reading it. My God. Uh, Most sci-fi is trash, so I don't know. Stick to Ender's Game and Snow Crash and Neuromancer and Bruce Sterling's good. Islands in the Net. If you want good ideas, go over short stories. Short stories are more. There's a lot of short stories, and a lot of them are terrible. But short stories like Islands in the Net by Bruce Sterling, much more likely to have really good ideas that don't get washed out or flooded out by stupid other things because they're short stories. Just saying. H.P. Lovecraft sort of specializes in that. Lynn, good to see you, Lynn. How was the food? Food was great. They don't poison their food in Ireland for some weird reason. I don't know. I guess they don't copy the US in every way. We loved poisoning our food. The wedding was lovely. It was a Latin mass. Nobody understood what was going on. I did finally meet Manuel, and I met Ginger Bill and Gustav's. It was lovely. We have pictures on the Discord server, on the Market Wisdom Discord server. Manuel was exactly like you'd expect. Yeah, I was hoping for more, but that's okay. Everything is great. Poor Manuel. He's really going through stuff still. It's too bad. We keep trying. We keep trying. But yeah, I had to bring some ties, which I did. And then we held a tie hostage so we could get back our 2 ties. It was very fun. Gustav's gave us a gift, which is Gustav's is wonderful. I love Gustav's. I wish I could take him home with me, but he wouldn't fit in the luggage. So Anselman, I rather think they know what they're doing with their policies. No, they really don't, Anselman. I've met these people. They're retarded. No, they're actually retarded. I've talked to a bunch of people. I know government officials. Like, I know government officials in all kinds of countries. They're actually dumb. They don't actually know what's happening. When people believe a fantasy and they want it to be true, they try to make it work. And like I said, they're blaming things like rapes. There was a rape of a 10-year-old girl in Dublin while we were there. Thankfully, we were in Cork when it blew up. I think they like burned the grounds of the hotel because, like, I'm part Irish. You don't want to mess with the Irish, man. Just don't do that. Like, there's dumb things to do, and they're all called messing with the Irish. Don't mess with the Irish. Like, mess with the Sicilians first, right? Because that's slightly safer, only slightly to be fair to the Sicilians, but like, don't mess with the Irish. That's just a mistake. And they'll bomb their own people, man. Like, no way. They'll bomb their own people and then finger wag you about your guns. The Irish are unstable. I know. I'm unstable. Um, yeah, no, they don't know what their policies are doing. They really don't. They really believe in equality. Like, they really need equality to be true. And they see an equal world. Like, a again, when you go to a place like Dublin, you'll see it. You'll see all these people speaking all these different languages, and they are all the same people. They're in a wealthy bubble, and good for them. I'm very happy for them. I wish I was in a wealthy bubble. I'm only out 6 or 7 million, guys, so that's all they stole from me, and I have none left. So if you want to donate, that would be great. Trying to get my book published. We're working on it. The book should be done soon. I gotta have a meeting next week. I bought some barcodes and ISBN numbers, so we should be good to go. Um, I want to talk to Paul Vanderklay about it. He should have had a copy already, so hopefully he's read it, and I'll get on his channel maybe, and have a chat. I haven't talked with him forever anyway because I haven't really been tracking what he's doing. But got to get the book tour thing going, the online book tour. Lynn, this will be interesting. I will watch it. Lynn, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Yeah, all of Mature Peugeot's videos recently have been really interesting. You asked me to wait on mine until the last one was released, and then I went to Ireland. I couldn't get answers out of people. When are the videos coming out? So maybe I'm releasing mine a little later than I would like, but I think things have been very strange synchronistically. So, like with the books. So there you go. Anselman, I like chicken kung fu. Who is that? Gung Pao. Yes. 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 Uh Ixnat. Ray Stevens did his song Teenage Mutant Kung Fu Roosters. I didn't know that. That's pretty funny. Do they use roosters for the Kung Pao recipe? No. How does this song go? The cat's in the kettle at the silver moon. I eat there every day at noon. Anthem, and it's nice to be silly. Well, it's like, look at all this. That's what we're here for. Ixnat, I read the Wheel of Time series. Nobody else needs to. Yeah, Robert Jordan doesn't strike me as a good writer. And I personally think, except for short stories, I love or used to love short stories. I just hate reading now and think all books should be burned. But you just buy new copies of mine after you burn them. Best marketing strategy ever. Yeah, short stories are usually full of good ideas. Like, I have the Warner's short stories guide from when I was going to school, and I still go back to it. I mean, it's got Sunrise on the Veld and The Lady or the Tiger, and yeah, and like I like short novels, novellas. I love Jack London. Call the Wild is probably the greatest story that ever could be written because I said so. White Fang is excellent. Like, yeah, I don't. People are really caught up on like long books and series, and life is not one long coherent narrative. I think that's what we've lost. We want it to be in the video game reality thing. Yeah. Anselman, I didn't know there was a parody of Cats in the Cradle song. There is. WAF in Boston used to play it, and that got ruined too. Like, this is another reason not to be in Boston. They got rid of the best radio station in the country. That's not just my opinion. WAF was the top rock station in the world, for real. It's on Cats in the Kettle 100%. Yeah. It's a funny song. I don't even know. I don't remember who wrote it or whatever, who sang it, but it was pretty funny. The cats and the kettle at the silver moon. I think it was the silver moon. It's very funny. Hanselman, when you coming home, Dad? I don't know when we'll get together then. So yeah, well, let's not go into that's Jim Croce, right? Yeah, let's not ever think about that. Um, yeah, I've been super depressed about the situation where my father is not here. Uh, trapped in literal hell that he made for himself that his sisters are keeping him stuck in. Does not make me happy. Kind of bothers me every day, but not Croce? No, who is it? I don't remember. I don't remember all these stupid. I used to have every Led Zeppelin album and side memorized. Oh, it's Harry Chapin. That's right. That was one of those nutbags. I think it was the Cats in the Kettle at the Peking Moon. Oh yeah, it was the Peking Moon next time. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. It was this is too funny. AF was great. They had the best game of all time that ever could possibly be conceived of, at least for radio. AF had it. It was called Racehorse, Rock Band, or Adult Movie. And they'd say something that could be any one of the three of those things and have you guess if it was the name of a racehorse, the name of a rock band, or the title of an adult movie. It was so funny. Oh my goodness. I got most of them right. I usually got them right. But yeah, they would play that. Like they'd have somebody call in and try to guess, and they'd give them some money or something. Radio stations always giving away money in Boston. They all had too much money. So yeah, it was yeah. Anyway, look, my little rant and remembrances are over. So, if you would like to join, there is the link. Um, Anselman, common Chinese restaurant urban myth about a guy who chokes on a bone and it turns out it's a cat. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a big urban myth guy. I prefer I prefer my myths to be epic Homeric ones. But hey, there's other decent myths around. And all sorts of it all sort of depends on what you wanna do. I think myths should be not only epic, but they should reconnect the world. One of the problems I think we've had is the dissection of the world through science, which is purely material cause. Uh, I think that people have confused Aristotle's four causes for a pick and choose situation rather than an everything has four causes, which would re enchant the world all by itself. Of course, science would get left out in the cold where it belongs. But no, let's redeem that too. Let's redeem college. Let's redeem the Protestant catastrophe. Let's redeem everything that led us to the evil. I'm not in that camp, but a lot of people seem to be. Ah, Hanselman, I like Myth Twizzerland in the beauty contest. Cometh? What? Canteth? I don't know what that is. Sounds like a disease. Then again, everything sounds like a disease when you have a cold. I am still recovering from my cold. That is true. I wish I didn't. Ixnad. Maybe people want long stories because they don't have or aren't engaging in with myth. I think that's correct. That's part of it. I think also if you don't have imagination, and some people don't, like I'm not saying it like you know to denigrate people, but I think you need those things filled in. And when we're not training people to look for patterns, it's a big problem. I watched Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Is that the one? Yeah, I think it was. No, it was the other one. The other one with the sleeping girl. Um, but it was interesting to watch an old, what is it, 1950s Disney animated again, and just be embroiled in all the symbolism that's there. And man, they're just saying evil and hell. And I was like, what? Wait, really? It just, you know, I'm evil. You think you can mess with evil? Oh, I call upon the powers of hell. And I'm like, I didn't realize Disney was so clear about this, but they were. They were indeed. Anselman, my descent into ridiculous, unfunny wordplay is assigning you to go to bed. Well, sleep well, my friend. It's good to see you. Uh, Maybe next time I'll get near your area and we can share a pint, even though I don't drink. But yeah, get your sleep. You're going to need it. Things are bad over there. Scotland has the same problem as Ireland with rebels and not being able to rule itself for whatever reason. There's got to be something to that pattern. I think it has something to do with hierarchical thinking or individualism as such. Those two are obviously linked. You just shove too much individualism at people, and I think you really run into a problem. Handsome, and the pun I really like is you are myth informed. Yes, yes. I go over that with Monsieur Peugeot, which is coming out on Sunday, I think. So look for it then. Yeah, I just got to do the transcript and my usual like thumbnails all done. I think I got to double check. Did she send me that thumbnail? I don't think I saw it, but I'm pretty sure we have thumbnail. Um, and yeah, description and titles and tags and hashtags and all the normal nonsense I have to do for videos. Um, just to not get any views because the channel's being shadow banned. It's lovely. Um, by people who talk about such things. They're actually the perpetrators, by the way. In all cases, it's a little weird. I know. Also, you mimic what you see. You see bad behavior in the world, that's what you're going to go with. If you see a movie with the president doing something in a red, dark background, morons. These guys are so stupid. You know what I was listening to? I was listening to some kind of podcast or so. Oh yeah, I was listening to a podcast on the plane because it's a long flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Ireland. We could go direct, we couldn't come back direct, so it was even longer then. I had to go to freaking Heathrow. Don't ever go to Heathrow. In fact, join me. Heathrow should be blown up. Um, yeah. Oh, Anselman, if you're ever in or near Glasgow, a pint together might be possible. Excellent. I'm not going to Glasgow because I listened um, to How Bruce Lee Changed the World, and they had the Top Jeet Kune Do guy on there. This is 2009. And they were pointing out that Glasgow is the most dangerous city in Europe. You're really likely to die in a fight. And I was like, what? And I was like, Ireland. Yeah. Scotland. Yeah. They're kind of the same. It's like Glasgow? Really? Glad I didn't go. I'd love to go though. One day maybe. Yeah, I was like, what? Edinburgh is the top drug city in Europe. It's like, what is happening? Train Spotting is not wrong. I watched Train Spotting after I went to Edinburgh. I'm like, oh yeah, I see it now. Boy, this is why they like the movie. It's complete reflection. Wow. Yeah, maybe, Ansel, and maybe someday we'll get back across the pond again, maybe. I really do have to go to the British Museum of History and stuff and see all the cool stuff, but, I'd also wanna spend, like, 3 months there. So, yeah. Anselman, well, Loch Lomond side then, must see that beautiful lake. I gotta go back to Inverness because that was gorgeous, and I wanna see Loch Ness Monster. I didn't see him. And the castle, does Jimmy Page still own that thing? It's beautiful. Um, Inverness is gorgeous. What a they had a museum. Museums in Edinburgh were blue monkey balls, but the one in Inverness was awesome. And of course, they weren't supposed to let us in, but they were happy if we lied to them to let us in because no one else was there. Fake news virus scamdemic. Some advantages. Man, I'm so sad I didn't have money then because I would have traveled the world. No lines. See what you want to see, Mark, with no people around. I would have been so happy. My lifelong dream in the window is gone. It'll probably never come again. Everything's gonna be in war by this time next year. No worries. Ireland's gonna burn down everybody who lets in immigrants, apparently, and good for them. Go Ireland. Ireland will succeed. I think the throwing out Prince Andrew there, I think that's the crack that's gonna crack that whole country apart, and that's gonna have ripple effects for sure. Like, these are not good times. People are really, really in for it. Things are gonna get a hell of a lot worse. I couldn't believe they like, one incident, and the Irish are, like, burning down a hotel. Like, whoa. The the Brits waited, like, 20 years to do anything. The Irish are like, "Hell no, not doing that here. We'll burn you all alive." It's like, "Okay. Glad I wasn't in Dublin when it happened." Yeah. Um, man, it's a wild, wild world out there, especially across the pond. I don't even know what's happening. I know it's gonna happen, and it ain't gonna be pretty. Watch Don't Look Up. Such a funny movie. Just like Idiocracy. It's got a hell of a cast too, but, they did a really good job with it. I think, yeah, these long threaded narratives like video games, it it's just not it's just not good. It's just not good. And once we all get psyoped by the Matrix, I have videos on both these things, by the way. It's pure coincidence, I assure you. Um, yeah, and the way people are talking about it, it's just no hierarchy is always there. And I don't know. People get really confused. Like hierarchy is always there. You have to deal with it. If you thought you had equality, y- y- you know, there were all these side effects, right? There was no equality. But when you're among equals in the hierarchy, it certainly seems like everyone's equal. And that just leads to lies and deception. And that really is what's going on. We're lying to ourselves and deceiving ourselves about the way the world is because we refuse to observe it. I saw, well, there's this whole dust up around the White House, and the president said the White House wouldn't be touched. And do you mean a reporter said that? And then the rest of the reporters reported it as though the president had said it when he wasn't even in the room because it was a press conference. Oops. Right. It's all lies. And in the US, because everyone's putting everything in two sides, and then everybody's wrong about everything because We don't live in a binary world. It's all lies on one side, guys. I hate to break it to you, but like the Democrats just lie, but they're going to force the president to fund SNAP. Do you just not know how the country works? You can't force the president to fund anything because the president doesn't have funding power. He can't do that. The Democrats would stop blocking the damn bill. They're so concerned about the SNAP people. Why don't they just write a bill that says we're going to fund SNAP and only SNAP and I'll sign it? The Republicans would sign it in a heartbeat. What the hell do they care? Proof that it's the Democrats. I hate that they're the bad guys, but also they are the bad, always have been. Day one, never different. And the longer you buy into the deception, see this dust up online? Oh, online conservatives, they're not true conservatives. Nobody online is a conservative. That's true. They're either moderates or crazy leftists. Period. Always was online's always been that. Conservatives don't adopt new technology, and by new, I mean technology that's less than 100 years old. Seriously. They really have a hard time with it. And when they do, it's very specific technology, specific to their work. It's not that they're not gonna trust some binding agent over their own binding agent of the people they live next to. Conservatives wanna conserve community. That's what they wanna conserve. Because they know that's the glue that holds the world together is community. And soon, we can all learn more about community from my book. I'm gonna get it, the pre-sales done in the next week or 2. Well, somebody's going to, not me, because I couldn't figure it out. So, it's not entirely true. I just don't. That storefront is having enough problems every time we touch it. So we're gonna let somebody else touch it and pay them money. It's a lot easier. It's just too many pies, too many pies. It's part of the lies and the deception when you look at a company, you see a bunch of people doing something in uniform order together, and you think, "Ah, it's a well-run company." Best run company I ever worked for was the first company I worked for. It was United Parcel Service, UPS, baby. They were amazing. But when they when you're there, like I had a boss who had gotten my best friend fired on a different shift, thankfully, and he tried to get me fired, and it didn't work because I'm me. Um, Quirks, very. It's good to be quirky sometimes. He couldn't get me fired, but he did piss me off enough that I couldn't. It was a hostile work environment. I couldn't stay, which is too bad. I tried to go back years later, and I couldn't. He was still in charge. I'm like, why is this guy fired? He's clearly a scumbag. And like I reported him, my union did nothing because unions are worthless and should all be abolished, except in mining. Mining should have unions. Other industries should not. Um, yeah, it was a nightmare. Until you get into a company and really look, then you realize it's not a lockstep thing. It's all deception. Ixnon, yes, let me know when I can buy your book. Don't worry, my friend. I will let you know. It will be known. I got a copy. Well, I gave Adam a copy, obviously, and that was my personal present to him. And Adam's wonderful. He's such a kind and generous person. Not just with his time either. Like he's unbelievable. Um, and I got to help him put his bed and his table together in his new flat. So that was a pittance of a repayment for his kindness towards me for sure. But also got a book off to Gustav's, so that was good. Manuel didn't seem interested. I had a couple more copies, whatever, but I gave away some dog-headed books too because I still have a box of those. You can buy dog-headed books, although Ixon you already have, I know. Um, I don't know what happened with don't even freaking Shopify. That's why. See, the book. I'm not gonna handle shipping the book. I don't have any books. I have a couple of copies, but thank you, Castle. Castle's also awesome. Um, they're gonna do all that for me at for some kind of cost, which I'm not thrilled about, but also totally worth it because man, Shopify's a mess. Shopify changes things all the time, all the time. I was talking because we're gonna have a link to language creation in the talk with Mitchell Peugeot, and Sarah was like, this morning before she left, she was like, "Oh, you should put an affiliate link," and I'm like, "Yeah, I had affiliate, and they took it away because all these people are criminals and they lie to you about everything. So in order to qualify, which makes no sense, you have to have a bunch of people already buying stuff from you. The the whole system is everything. Everything's broken. Uh, all these people are lying. Twitter lied to me. Twitter never monetized my account, even though I met all their requirements. I contacted them like 3 different times. They never even got back to me, right? YouTube's still suppressing my channel and lying about it. And it's like, I know algorithms and I know data and I know data analysis and I see what happened. But nah, they don't want to own up to it either. It's all lies and deception. That's really the problem is we're living in a land of lies and deception. It's freaking Halloween every day now. It's Halloween every day with these people. Everyone's dressed up as monsters and tricking. They're all tricking. Ixnat, I'll let you know when you can buy my book if you let me know when I can have my game. How's the game testing going? What do we need? I gotta get on that. I was so sick when I got back. I feel awesome today. Or at least I felt awesome most of today, later in the afternoon. We'll see about tomorrow. You never know when you have a cold. Plus, I'm on drugs, so you take some ibuprofen, you take some Mucinex, feeling okay, feeling okay. You drink lots of tea of various types, and I forgot I had elderberry syrup. I'm like, oh man, I had elderberry syrup the whole time. Why wasn't I taking this? Oh, yeah, my electric company betrayed me too, bastards. They shut the power off the day we got home in the morning. So we got home and the power had been off for like 11 hours. I'm like, what is which wasn't a big deal, but it's like, what? And then they sent me a bill 2 days later. No, was it 2 days later? Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think I got it yesterday. Um, and it showed like, yeah, there was an outstanding balance, but it wasn't overdue. And I'm like, what is happening? And I think I paid them. Like I think that they didn't have an outstanding balance, but I would just whatever. I just paid them their outrageous amount of money and said, go away. It's all lies and deception, though. Like I don't. Everything's breaking down. AWS is having outages. I don't know, man. It's not long for this world, I think. But Ixnon, that's fair. I do need to work on the game more. I Yeah, I really want to get people playing. But I gotta sit right. We gotta go in there and like look at I gotta look at the cards and stuff and figure out what we're gonna do. And maybe we need a little back and forth, Ixnon, a little powwow or something. Jump onto the Discord server one of these days and we'll chat. Um, because I do want to get that game tested. And our publisher, our printer rather, for the book, he has everything to build a board game. Everything. He's so excited about this project. I'm like, bro, we have 2 books going, and then whatever Castle's got going, which I think is 2 or 3 other projects, before we get anywhere near this game. But he's like, "Oh, I want to do the game. You should come up and play games." And I'm like, "I agree, but also one thing at a time, please. We need to go in order. Order and sequence have been lost to us in this world. It's interesting how many people are deceived by sequence, completely deceived, and deceived by enchantment. There's a sheep load of enchantment going on. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This whole idea of in this course you're going to learn. It's like that. And it never bothered me. If Sally Joe's all upset about it. I added that last minute today because she was talking about it. Um, Never bothered me because I was like, yeah, enchantment, whatever. Who cares? It's another enchantment thing. But actually, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, this is really bad. Noah, I need to work more on the manners book. Yeah, that would be great, Noah. Let's get to it, man. You better get to it soon because I'm gonna have to do it at some point. I'm liking well for our new book category, which we've invented because my printer said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, that's true. Why not? Why can't we invent our own genre of book?" Done. So this has been accomplished. We'll see how it goes. It's cooperation literature. It's literature about how to can cooperate with people, you muppet. And why? Why do we need to be cooperating with people? Why do we need this? I'll tell you why. Because the world needs you to be better. The world needs you to be better. In order for the world to be better, you need to be better. The world needs you to be better. That's the way it is. It's a wonderful thing, actually. I think. A lot of control. A lot of control. I think my Matrix video too, like that really you want lies and deception? There you go. The Matrix video is full of it. Well, The Matrix, the movie is full of it. Although I did quite a bit of lies and deception in my video, didn't I? If you didn't notice, it's okay, but also you think you're immune for to this stuff because you know about it, huh? Is that how you think that works? It's fantastic. Mature and I cover the difference between knowledge and information to some extent. So look forward to that on Sunday. I figured I'd release it on Sunday because I can. I did what I did because I had to. It's amazing how pervasive the Matrix is. And it's amazing how the people that are telling you that we don't know about reality, whatever nonsense, absurd justification they're using for that retarded statement, are also into simulation, living in a simulation. So that's just really quick heuristic. We're living in a simulation really means I don't like the way the world is and I want it to be different. Oh no, Ixnad, but G.I. Joe said knowing was half the battle. He did. Interesting though, you can fix that with A, changing the definition of knowing back to what it's supposed to be, by the way. Uh, then it's not so bad. Um, or by just taking the half the battle part seriously and keeping the so usually when you hear the word knowing, with very few exceptions, what people are actually talking about is information. And there's lots of problems with information, right? Like one of them is if information is in the form of propositions, it could be a lie. It's like, it's amazing to me. Like, imagine this: there's this poor guy in Cork. He's running a little t-shirt shop, which is an awesome t-shirt shop, by the way. I highly recommend. It's in the English market. Um, and like, he actually believes 7 children a day are killed by accidental gunfire or whatever, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? So the anger these people have, the resentment, the upsettedness about the US is based on lies. It's based on flat out lies, complete deceptions and misinformation. And I was just fantastically impressed with the fact that when I mentioned, like, yeah, Ireland hasn't had a school shooting in 20 years, but neither has Maryland, and they're about the same size. And it's like, oh, I mean, he got it. It was like, all right, now you're kind of understanding. And so it happens both ways. Like we project countryness on the EU, like it's one uniform place when it's nothing could be further from the truth. And then they project that like countryness, but at their scale onto us. And it's like, yeah, but all European countries are smaller than our largest states. Like, where are you guys getting this? Like, how? And we have 50 states. Like, what are you doing? Uh, and yeah, you can fit most of Europe just in Ixnon state. I mean, come on. It's so funny. It's like, what is going on? And they don't know that. Like people, they're so fooled by this little trick that we're and again, it's this idea of country. So I wanted to go to Northern Ireland because the Maguire Castle in Skillets, I can't pronounce Irish names. Not that one anyway. Excuse me, that castle is up there. And I was joking that I want to take the two giants with me, the one from the Netherlands, the one from Latvia, and go just tell them like, I'm taking the castle back, guys. Sorry, it's going to become a Catholic stronghold in Northern Ireland now. Because of course that was what I was saying. Should have brought the pirate hat, and the flag. And Bill was like, "We can't do that. It's a different country." And I'm looking at him like, "It's the same freaking island. No, you can't just draw arbitrary lines on a map and say, maybe it's occupied territory within the country of Ireland, but it's not a separate country. It's not supposed to be a separate countries don't work that way. What are you talking about? Occupied territory, fair? Occupied territory it is. Also shouldn't be. It's not have fun storming the castle. Yeah, man, I did. Also, the name Castle is everywhere, so we kept torturing Castle by showing him his name written on things. The stop in Cork, the nearest bus stop was called Castle Avenue, which I thought was a riot. Oh, look at that. See, on Halloween, you can do invocations. If you just say someone's name, they show up. It's Vampirate and Vamparrot. Where's the parrot? Ah, excellent. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah. This was my elaborate plan for the last month that I informed you of, but you didn't know.
You did inform me, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember. I'm so sick the other day.
Oh
my
man.
goodness. Dude, I was asleep all day Wednesday. All day.
Oh my goodness.
It's like in bed. And then last night, I don't know what happened. It was like 11 o'clock. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to lay down. And I should have known right away. I just, boom, I was asleep. That was the end of that. It's like, oh, I'm asleep before 11. That means I have a cold for sure. I'm always up past midnight.
Man. I don't know. Your ability to sleep quickly and that long, I envy just a little bit. So, I don't know.
No, too much sleep. Sleep is like a drug. It's bad for you. That was my buddy's conclusion after he did my sleep reduction program. Sleep is like a drug. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Bad for you.
Yeah. Speaking of, I've relapsed. So I got to get back to not sleeping soon.
The real horror is that when I'm sick, because I'm sick, my immune system works differently. And then usually for a brief window, usually when I recover from a cold, everything will be back to normal. I'll be falling asleep instantly, waking up in 4 hours, and be okay. Because it's all the immune system. But it only lasts a couple of days. I'm always like, no. Yeah. And then I don't have any energy because I'm still, recovering from a cold.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Big disappointment though. So we're like, we walked probably 4 miles every day, which is like 4 more miles than I normally walk. and didn't lose a pound. I'm like, come on, I wasn't even eating that much. I was like, really? Because it's it's Europe. They don't know what food is.
Yeah.
They don't know how to serve food over there. And oh man, Ireland. Oh, dude, you get a bottle with a cap, right? And they're attached, and you can't easily remove the cap. And it's so annoying. Sarah was like ready to hunt people down and murder them. I was like, okay, we gotta go. We're gonna get out of here. We were there a day too long, maybe two. Like we should have left Sunday or Monday instead of Tuesday. We were just there for an awfully long time.
Yeah,
And
it was what, 2 weeks, right?
it was almost 2 weeks. It was at least a week and a half. So
Yeah.
what did we leave on a? Yeah, we left on a Thursday, right? And we came back on a Tuesday. So it's a week and a half.
Yeah. But it sounds like you had fun, and
It was great. I
yeah.
loved it. I
yeah,
loved
the
it.
pictures were awesome.
Yeah, I know. Sarah took so many good pictures.
Yeah.
I only took a few good pictures. I didn't even I had the big camera and I never used it. And we did not get out to Blarney Castle. Not that I was going to climb to the Blarney Stone. This guy's talking about Blarney Castle, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, Blarney Castle's great," and and we're kind of like, "Yeah, but it sounds like a lot of work to get to the stone." He's, "Oh no, somebody climbed the castle, like last year, and they had a heart attack, and they got hella flighted out." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Oh no, they were fine," and I'm like, "No." This is not the way to sell this at all.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I was like, what is? But yeah, we went to a jail in Cork, and like an 18th century jail.
Yeah.
It's weird because they actually took relatively good care of them, but like they had this weird thing going on because England. Which, by the way, when I asked on Twitter, I asked Rachel Fulton Brown about this, and she gave me the reference to Chesterton. Even better. I haven't read it yet. I haven't read the whole thing yet. I gotta actually sit down and read it because I was sick when I asked, of course, because I'm just better today. But like, what are Western values? Because England, if you got convicted of a crime in Ireland and you were going to be in jail for more than 7 years, they shipped you to Australia or Tasmania on a boat. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what are Western values? Excuse me. They don't sound like English values. Let me put it that way. But yeah, she kind of confirmed that Western values are more of a American thing, and it's a fantasy. It's another deception. It's another deception that we've been telling ourselves. And I'm not like all deception is bad, but also like that deception doesn't seem good.
Yeah.
At all. But yeah, it was a good trip. But how are you doing? What's going on? I haven't
been keeping busy. It's just I mean, I'm not going to say that you necessarily missed a whole lot. It's just been kind of grinding away at just getting certain things done. But I think actually, as of today, with the stupid vampire thing, all of my plans going back to the beginning of June are complete. So actually, every single thing that I set out to do since that time that I had kind of like projected onto fall is now complete as of today. And so most of it was complete as of like a week and a half ago. But I mean, I had like a few straggler things, and this is the last one. But yeah, this was, of course, the most important one. But yeah. But so it's just a whole bunch of book stuff and everything. I mean, a lot of the stuff with the with our printer and everything.
Yep.
It was really nice to kind of catch up on that. And you said 2 or 3 projects. It's actually, including the other one that I have, it's 7 or something like that. But I'm waiting until January because all the work is done. I just need him to print things. So I told him I'm not gonna bug you until, because the start of the year is the easiest, slowest time for him. So I'll just capitalize on that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but I'm really excited to hear what you guys kind of knock out next week, because I think at that point we're pretty much done, I'm hoping. And then
I've got everything. The only thing we have to do is find a place to put a barcode and ISBN number on.
Yeah.
maybe I don't even know what the thing is. Do we put one on the corner of the back cover and one inside or something? I don't know. Whatever
Yeah.
that is. But I bought them,
Yeah.
so we're all
Awesome.
set. I bought them today, so we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And I think his last busiest time of the year is this Sunday, and then after that, everything slows down for him. Like he said, progressively it slows down, and then it's like dead by the end of December or something. So for sure, but pretty much the last major thing that he ever has to do during the year ends this weekend, and then
Good.
after that, like he's ready to do all of our stuff. So
Good.
yeah,
Good. Well,
So-
we'll have the book pre-orders available hopefully next week, and then because there's nothing like that's easy.
yeah.
You don't need the ISBN and stuff to do that. We just got to get
Yeah,
the
exactly.
pre-orders on the site, and they've got access.
All the other background work can, if he has anything extra, can be done over the next 2 weeks, even if he needs to, while the pre-orders are running. So
Right. So yeah, all we have to do is modify that one print, and then I think we're good to go.
Yeah. So it's exciting. It has been a year. It has actually. I think since you floated the idea, it's been about a year.
Really?
Maybe a little less, maybe 11 months. I want to say it might have been like mid-November or late November that you mentioned it, because I think Elizabeth was always mentioning, the book and everything, and it was a joke. And then around sometime in November, you said, "Okay, I am doing it." And I think that
her
was
book but her book for me has like 17,000 chapters.
Yeah, I know.
And she's named them all, and
Yeah.
I don't know where she is. I don't know how she's doing. I should reach out to her again and see.
That would be good.
But yeah, I miss Elizabeth. Yeah. Wait till the Peugeot talk comes out. It's gonna
when I heard, because I hadn't heard about that before today, listening to your monologue, and so I was like, "Oh wow, I have no idea where else you had that," but I didn't see it on anything in the Discord or anything like that. But yeah, that's going to be exciting. I'm really glad that one's coming up. So that was one of the ones that I had been actually kind of hoping would happen for like the last year or something. So that's a cool one to see before he goes back into his squirrel, a refuge or whatever he has.
The timing ended up perfect because I believe that was the last conversation he's having this year.
Yeah.
And it will be the last released.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't heard his conversation with Ignacio because it wasn't out when we did our convo. I didn't even know what it was about. And then I was like, oh, wow. Well, those two conversations are going to go together really well. That's good. Yeah. So, yeah, who knew?
When was the one from Ignacio? When did that one come
out? I mean, not before I left. When I was gone?
Okay, I remembered seeing one from like a few months ago or something like that.
It was last Sunday or something.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's a new one, then yeah.
His is on martial arts.
Okay.
So it was really interesting.
Yeah. I'll have to check them both out.
Peugeot talk was mentioned on the last few Pirate streams. Yeah, I think it was Ixnon.
I guess I've been outed for not listening to this.
So. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, well. That's okay. You're excused as the editor of my awesome books.
I was off voyaging with Van Parrot, and it's so ridiculous.
Van Parrot.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I got Polly on my shoulder without my wardrobe support person. So
yeah, you wouldn't believe how I have this particular parrot rigged to come in like this.
I can't imagine.
I'll show you later. But yeah, it's complete nonsense. It's actually worse than the concept that you see before you now. Is how I jury rig this together.
I always have these ideas because I've got a ceiling fan because I live in the center, so all the rooms have light ceiling fans. And I'm like, I could do this, and I could stuff like, I'll rewire things in a foot pedal. No, you're not doing that. I think about it all the time. Well, when I was a kid, obviously, I was into Rube Goldberg machines. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
build all kinds of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Just to see how dumb I could build something.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
I thought about having the Vampiric come in upside down, and I had a whole idea for that. But yeah, it's better that I didn't do that. It would have been a nightmare to take down. So yeah, I was using, like the sticky tack that they use for like putting up wall stuff and everything. Like
yeah.
I've done some pretty elaborate things with that, but
I bet you have.
That and there's a surprising amount you can do with dental floss, but yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous arts and crafts that people shouldn't see the behind the scenes for. So
I lost both of the thumbtacks for the flag. I was like panicking earlier today.
No.
Where's the thumbtack? Yeah, I had to grab a flashlight. One of them's still missing. I'll step on it at some point and find it. I'm sure.
Probably.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Because I don't normally wear shoes in the house, so
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I thought it was really interesting your comments on your tour of the college and everything. I mean, it's wild, just the sheer amount of academia stuff. Like I'm about, what is it? I am now about 20 something hours into this audiobook that, because again, like all of my reading faculties are like stored in hearing basically, and so I'm about 20 hours into like a 37-hour thing on like all of these different things that were like going wrong with like the science stuff and even like science fiction and all these different things and how that was influencing culture, and it's rough. Like it is very rough, and it's heavily leaning into the academia stuff. But but you look into some of these guys, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like all these guys were like into the occult basically, and it's just like, oh my, like even Thomas Edison, like seriously, that guy, and it's just like, wow, like I found out that like after Alexander Graham Bell did the telephone, that Edison's tried talking to ghosts with it. It's just like, oh my goodness, dude. Like these guys, like he actually tried to invent a special phone that he'd be able to talk to ghosts with and everything. And it's just like, oh gosh. And then like you go into like the Tesla thing, and it's like, oh, that dude, like I knew that, people always kind of frame it like, oh, this guy got screwed over and everything, and his career was done, and then he just kind of like died in in exile in a sense, but it's like, oh, this guy actually he decided to give up solid food. Like that's one of the reasons why his health was deteriorating. He lived entirely on green drinks, but not like the present day green drinks where they put like supplements in there and all these things. So he was just straight up having like vegetable smoothies, and he just didn't have solid food, and so his just body started falling apart. But it's like there's a lot of these interesting things, but he did that while spending most of his time searching for like broadcasts from aliens on the radio. So he just stopped eating and then did all this stuff. And it's just like, oh my goodness, all these guys that were like super influential were like cracked out of their nut. And so, yeah, it's been really interesting. And like those are some of the tame ones, but it's just like, oh my goodness, you look at a lot of these groups that were doing stuff that are like super influential in getting like new tech out and everything, and their connections to academia, and it's like, wow, it's really like kind of crazy that it's so pervasive.
But the academia is part of this weird pattern. So I've got another pattern too. This is a better pattern. So you've got Eve. We'll just call her Eve. Whose other name is Anne Boleyn, who grabs the fruit of knowledge, basically. It's not of good and evil, it's more like of pure evil or something, from Tyndale and his book. And then Henry VIII eats of this and destroys the world. Like immediately, there's the fall right there. And then when you start looking into all this, it's like, oh yeah, like Wow. Listen to this James Orr and Jonathan Peugeot channel and that talk. It's weird. They're right there. They're like, oh yeah, all this stuff fell apart in the 1500s. Oh yeah, all this happened in the, all this. And I'm like, guys, like, really? You don't know what all this has in common? Like, you can't figure it out. The time frame, what's happening, the people. You're not making that connection at all. Like, you're just flat out not making the connection. Really? But like Trinity College is flat out telling me like, nah, this one's supposed to be academic. It's pure propaganda. Like, what? Excuse me? This is your brag? Like, really?
Mm.
But it is this splitting up. This, I think I think people have divorced through the solas, this alone, even there's 5 solas and they're all alone.
Right.
Do you not see the contradiction already? But whatever. Right. So, but I think that science sort of that's the science idea. We can just divide things up and then put them together in any random order. That's why no one can make sense of the world, because you just postmodern your way to victory here. And then that spreads into splitting up the 4 causes. And it's like, no, everything has 4 causes, all 4 of the everything. And you're just splitting everything up and saying, well, there are 4 causes and you get to pick one. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Everything's interconnected. But the sola, that's not helping us. That's really, and reducing everything to words. And like, words are abstractions. Words have very little connection to the world that you actually live in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at, without going into a whole thing, which I could easily do for 17 hours, you look at like the guys that were doing that introduced those concepts, and it's like, well, their entire thing was that, oh, I can read this, it's accessible to me, I can just take it, like I've placed myself above this thing, and then and I can start even making all, like, it wasn't even like multiple generation, it's like immediately within the span of like a year, I'm going to start making alterations, I'm going to start removing things, I'm going to start giving my own interpretations and overwriting all of this stuff, and explicitly when asked saying that it was based on feelings, and it's just like, that's the origin of that. And so when you start seeing weird stuff like lit crit and all these different things, and it's just like, well, it's like that but worse, but like that's kind of like where all of that stuff comes from. It's completely destructive. But
Noah wants to know, what's the name of the book?
Which book?
I don't know. Ixnon says piracy is bad for communication. I don't know about that.
I think we're talking all right.
It's so weird to me that, like, Peugeot, Jonathan of all people, can't put together the Reformation, you moron. Everything you're talking about comes from the same exact place with the same exact time frame. How is this hard for you? It's what I don't understand. Like, what is hard about this? Please explain to me why this is difficult. It's obviously this one thing that causes all of these problems, all of this disconnectedness and disenchantment, all of this modernity stuff, all the crises. It's all the same cause. Actually, it's the splitting up of the causes, ironically. And then you get, so one thing I was talking to Adam about kind of briefly, I mean, I give him a lot of time to think about it. I was like, man, I'm just seeing now that a lot of what we're seeing is people playing Napoleon using money instead of troops. Right? They're trying to redraw the lines of the map through money. And, my problem is, I have a real problem because I don't understand what happens when you do that. Because it's a hierarchy to economy, and we flattened it out, and like people have no idea. Many of the top AI models are available for you to run at a very low cost, either online in the cloud, and you can modify them and train them yourself and stuff. Like, no one's preventing you from doing that at all, right? Except your own skill level, which is fair. Like, that might be a big, and a little bit of money, but not a lot, not thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, but not thousands. And people, like, they're not getting it. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't fix a problem. It might make everything worse. It's like when I was talking to Jacob a while back, and he's like, well, yeah, it was open source. They just open sourced the Twitter algorithm. And I'm like, I'm an expert with algorithms specifically, among other things. I have no idea what I would do with that algorithm. Like, I honestly don't know what good it would do me to have it. Like, I know I could go get it right now and download it and whatever. And my buddy, I don't know if this is still true, but for years he had the feed. And I was like, what do you mean you have the feed? He's like, no, I've got a special API key to the entire Twitter API. And I was like, what? And he's like, I haven't figured out what to do with it. I'm like, dude, I got ideas. But he didn't pursue any of them, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue, is people don't realize this flattening is not helping, but it is making things worse. That you gave everybody a copy of the Bible, lovely, in a language they can read, lovely. So here's a contrast you're gonna love, right? So I'm there for 2 Sundays, right? But the Saturday was the wedding, so we did 2. We didn't go to church on Sunday after the wedding. The wedding was a Latin mass in a gorgeous old church, St. Kevin's. So lovely. Every church we went into had a pipe organ. I thought Sarah was on cloud 9 because she can play a pipe organ.
Oh, wow.
She's way out of practice, but yeah, she's a classically trained pianist. She's
Oh,
got
wow.
2 keyboards in the living room. It's amazing. Yeah. She said, "What do you want to hear?" And I'm like, I rather like bright lights. She's like, okay. She grabbed and started playing. I'm like, how do you do that? I can't play. I can play do, re, mi. That's about it. So she loved it. Then the 8 days later, we go to, Adam invites us to his mother's house for dinner, Sunday dinner and all that. And I'm like, oh, Sunday dinner. I remember this from when we were kids. Because on my mother's side in particular, they're Irish. So Nana's Irish.
Yeah.
I think they're first generation. Like, I think my great Grammy, who I knew not very well. She died when I was young, but still, she lives to be like 96 or something retarded. I think she was off the boat. Like, I think, yeah. So very Irish still. So like we did the Sunday Irish dinner thing, and we did that and went to this church. They couldn't get into Dublin because of the Dublin Marathon. So they had to go to church at night. So they picked a church nearby where his parents' place, where we had dinner, basically. And we went there. And I don't know what kind of church that is. It looked very Protestant to me, but I mean, it was a Catholic church, right? And B, they brought a freaking guitar. And I thought I was going to die.
As soon as you started telling the story, I knew there would be a guitar in it. And
I'm like, you cannot have a... The thing that puzzles me is all these people who are like, they're musical. I've had lots of arguments, usually at the Vander Turkey crew. They're like, oh, you guitars. Why don't you like guitar? I mean, do you just not have ears? Harps, human voices, and large pipe organs are higher music. Like, I don't even know how else to describe. How is this not inherently understood to you? Drums and guitars are not. They're just not. Harps are higher. Human voices are higher. Pipe organs are higher. Guitars are not.
Yeah.
And pipe organs are huge. We went to this one pipe organ that there's 3 with pipes that are built underground, and this is one of them. And Sarah knew nothing, but she knows a lot about pipe organs. For whatever weird reason, there was like a thing at the school she went to, and they took her to the pipe organ factory in Massachusetts, and she just knows things about pipe organs. I'm like, I don't even like, what is this? I feel retarded. So she didn't even know about this. So one of them's in Ireland. So we happened upon that church by accident.
Wow.
It was there was a lot of weird stuff. Like we missed the tours to like Blarney and someplace else, I forget. So we were gonna go to like a couple castles near Cork. And they're not that near to Cork. It's like an hour and a half or something out of the city. It's not that close, but that's where they usually leave from. And we missed it. And then we ended up walking around the city, seeing all this stuff. And I have a theory that the English are still in charge over there and suppressing the Catholics, because at one point we were walking to Fort Elizabeth, which is connected to the jail that we saw the next day. And we're standing in front of this thing that says the Nano Nagel, museum or institute or whatever. And you could tell just by looking from across the street, like there's like a compound there. And mostly older buildings, and then one newer, like really new looking building. And I was like, what the hell is this? Let's just go in. And it turns out she's like a wealthy Catholic who was, and then here comes the conflict for Mark, educating young girls, young Irish girls. So I was just like, oh, education bad. But they were doing formation more, I think, which is obviously good. But it was so weird. It was on none of the maps. It was not part of TripAdvisor or Google or anything, because that's what we were using to get around. It's basically a miracle we found it. And it, even that I saw it and then was interested enough to say, well, what the hell is this? Because there's a zillion things to do in Cork. Like just walking around the streets, there's so many things to see. So yeah, we just happened to cross it and learned all about it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so there's a bunch of stuff like that where we're just walking around in Dublin and Cork and running into things. And a lot of the Catholic stuff is still suppressed somehow. It's mysterious. It's really mysterious.
Well, the Church of Ireland is an offshoot of Anglicanism, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, there's always been. Yeah.
I think the battle is still joined in Ireland, man.
Well, it took forever here in the U.S., right? I mean, they had the whole thing, like, especially like the Puritans, they outlawed Halloween and Christmas, and it wasn't until the Germans and the Irish, who were down in Maryland, brought it back, and then just kind of held their ground. But aside from that, I mean, they had the whole like mint sniffer thing, and the
Puritans are horrible in some ways.
Yeah.
Also, they didn't go far enough in others. So stocks are good.
You're investing in stocks.
Well, they have this whole extrajudicial system that we don't have anymore. And one of these days I'll track that down. I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll be like, all right, why don't we have an extrajudicial? Like, look, if you get up on national TV and you say, no, we all need to wear masks because I am the science or some equivalent thing. Look, why would we go to court? Like, I don't understand. There's no reason to waste time and money going to court. Everybody saw what you did. Like, this isn't a question of guilt or innocence. This is a question of how much punishment. And maybe you could say, well, the judge has to decide how much punishment. But I'm not adjudicating whether or not something happened that actually happened. Like, that's ridiculous. You only need adjudication when there's no witnesses or when the witness testimony is conflicting. Otherwise, you don't need adjudication on the issue. There's the guilt or innocence is not the thing you're determining. Punishment, maybe you always need adjudication for punishment, although I've got questions. I don't think that's true. And we're just like, we're not running that system anymore. We used to. That used to be the standard system was, and they talked about this in a couple of the museums that we went to that were almost entirely empty still. By the way, if you go to Dublin, like stay near the airport at least a couple of nights and go to Malahide Castle, which is awesome. You like spend like half a day there because you can. They've got a cafe and everything,
Nice.
beautiful grounds, butterfly house. It's awesome. But they were talking about some of this stuff where it's like nobody wanted to involve the government in legal stuff, so they just avoided it like the plague. Which I'm like, yeah, that's what we should be doing. And nowadays, everybody just want to take everything to court and whatever. It's horrible. And they want to use the courts to steal all my money and stuff. Which they did successfully twice. So I don't know. There's something going on with that whole. We don't even have that idea.
No.
I mean, growing up, I did. Like, there were things you did not do. One day I got this, I got pulled over. This cop pulls me over. I'm on private property. The cop pulls me over and he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, the car's broken. We're trying to fix it." And he's like, "Well, I'm arresting you anyway on a bench warrant." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't have a bench warrant. What are you talking about?" And it was a warrant from 12 years before. Now, just in case anybody's unclear, 12 years is way past any statute of limitation on a bench warrant. Unless it's for murder. 12 years is, I don't know, 8 years past, 9 years past. Like, I was just like, what is happening? So the guy gets my car towed, and I'm like, well, can I have AAA tow it? Because I have AAA. He's like, no, which is illegal. He gets it towed off of a parking lot that he does not own because he's a cop. And he's pulling me over, not on the road. So, whatever. Right? And then that guy was like, where do you want your car? Because eventually I got bailed out. I was with a friend, thank God. He bailed me out. He's like, where do you want this? Where do you want your car taken? And I'm like, I'm gonna have AAA tow it. And he's like, AAA won't tow it. I'm like, yes, they will. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm the only AAA agent in this area. They're not gonna tow it. And I'm like, AAA will send somebody to tow it, jerk off. And he was pissed because he was like, oh, my tow trucks are down. And I'm like looking at him like, I'm standing right here. Your tow trucks are not down. Like, I know what a down tow truck looks like. One of my very best friends owns a towing company. You're not going to pull the wool over my eyes about what's going on with your tow trucks, buddy. First of all, if your tow truck was down, I could probably fix it. Second of all, I know what down tow truck looks like. Don't snow job me. So it was all a scam. So eventually I go to court over this. Right. So I'm in the court. Right. I've got my date and everything. I show up. They never call my name. So I walk up to one of the guys, one of the bailiffs, and I say, I didn't hear my name called, but it looks like session's out. Like, what do I do? And he goes, oh, your name probably got called earlier. And I said, well, no, I mean, I was here when the judge came in from chambers at the beginning of the day. And he goes, wasn't that nice for you? And I was like, listen, buddy, okay, where I grew up, you do that to somebody, you go outside and we settle this like men. Because I was so shocked. I'd never been treated like that before in my life by anybody. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? All I'm doing, like, first of all, you're there you're a taxpayer paid, buddy, right? You're there to serve people. You're not there to get snippy with somebody who's just confused and asking you a legit question that you should be able to answer. Like, I was furious. I was 2 seconds from saying, you want to step out back? Because the way I grew up, that's what you would do. You would step out back. I would put him in the hospital because I can. like that. I would have dropped him. He was a fat, out of shape piece of garbage anyway. I would have dropped him so fast, you would have been like, what? What just happened? I would bullshit. And like, it was weird. I went into the court and they realized that they majorly screwed up and they were covering up for the cop who arrested me in another town. I'm like, the town's not even in your county. Like, why don't you throw the cop under the bus so I can sue his ass, sue his freaking department, scumbag. Just to get back the $300 it cost me, because why you cost me $300, bro? And they were like, oh, you can't see your record. And I'm like, well, are you kidding me right now? Of course I can see my record. It's the United States, jerk off. Like, courts have been very corrupt for a very long time. And they're just covering up everyone else's corruption. But like, man, when I was a kid, you settled things outside all the time. All kinds of things too. Yeah, if that was Lowell, I actually would have told him, out back, buddy. Let's go. You treat me like that, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You don't treat anybody like that under any circumstances. Completely unacceptable behavior for a human being. Like, ridiculous. You have a role. And even if you don't, you can at least be polite. And if you can't, we can make you polite. We can do it. Like, you get your nose broken enough or your jaw smashed, you'll be polite eventually. Or at least you'll shut up, which is the same thing. I'm fine either way. Oh yeah, I was 2 seconds from, I was shocked. I was like, excuse me? Like, what the hell? I didn't do anything wrong here. I'm just asking a question, bro. And you're freaking accusing me of making a mistake, which A, I didn't make, and B, like, who the hell are you? Who do you think you are? Totally, I was just so unbelievably taken aback by it. Nothing like, no one had ever been that rude to me in my life, ever. Because when I grew up, the thing was, too, Castle, when I grew up, if you did that to somebody and they weren't able to defend themselves, even if they were like persona non grata, somebody else would take that guy back and beat the shit out of them. For real. That happened many times. Like, no, you do not be impolite to people ever. Sorry. Like, no. I mean, you can, but also you can go to the hospital, because that's how that worked. You could be as impolite as you want, and you could go to the hospital, because that's what's going to happen. Like, it was unreal. And we've totally lost that. We've completely lost that. And we need to get it back, quite honestly, because people now are just so obnoxious. Like, how have you made it this far in life? I'd have gotten the shit kicked out of me for that when I was a kid. Like, absolutely, even when you're an adult.
Yeah. Well, I saw the thing that you posted from, was it de Tocqueville? I talked about the
oh my god,
the man children.
Yeah. I was just like, what the hell is this? De Tocqueville, because somebody, I forget who it was probably Bill, Ginger Bill, actually, was like, bro, you need to read de Tocqueville. And I'm like, really? And somebody on Twitter wants me to do a book club. And I was, well, he was like, oh, thank you for doing this book club. And I'm like, bro, why didn't you come to the Language Creation Book Club? Like, what's, and he's like, well, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but of all the things, online's actually good for that, right? Because that's a situation where, oh, nobody in my small town, has this intellectual level. Fine, fair. I agree, right? This is a place where online can actually do good. That's why we do the book clubs. Like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it otherwise. So he said, so-and-so suggested this book, which of course I had never heard of, because burn all the books. And then he asked me, like, do you have any suggestions? And I, like, the next book that I was thinking of doing was Democracy in America. So Noah's in, I guess. Although he can't spell. He tries to respell here, but too late, Noah. Once you make a mistake, it's over. Can't talk to you anymore ever again. We don't tolerate mistakes here. We're perfectionists. So I can't. So I can't even hold it. I tried. I can't pull it off. I suck. So I was like, this book, and then I was like, I should do a little more research. Like, which book is it? Right? Because I didn't remember off the top of my head because I'm sick. Like, I'm not on my game. Believe me, I'm not. I'm glad I'm up. I'm glad I'm like doing well enough to do all this. Even all the drugs yesterday was like touch and go for today. So, but I'm fine. I'm fine. So I looked it up, and then I was like reading a little bit about the book, and I saw that quote, and I'm like, "What is this? This is my words. Who is this guy? What's he? What do you mean? Like, what is he talking about? This is amazing." And just like, so I haven't done this before on the stream. So that alone, just reading that and finding that quote and putting it on the Discord server today, that causes this vindicated, because that's what I am now. I am vindicated. Everything I've been doing is vindicated by that one book. Individualism, freedom, democracy, bad, bad, bad. There you go. De Tocqueville said it before me. So, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. I felt really good when I read that. I'm like, holy cats. What a quote that is.
When was that written? Like roughly?
A long ass mofo time ago. Like, he was there for the revolution, I believe.
Wow.
So it's like 17 or 1800s. I think.
Oh man.
Pretty sure. I bet no one knows. Maybe he'll tell us. Yeah. No. It's all the way back. But like, he was an original witness to what was going on either during or right after the revolution. And so, or so-called revolution, which is really successful, one of the few successful historical rebellions in history. Mainly because we just shot the English and they left. I can't believe I had to go there. I'm like, bro, the woman just explained to you that gun control is the core founding of our country, and that's why we have no gun control. Like, that's no gun control or limited gun control and America are the same concept. Like, actually. And you still didn't get it. Okay, let me lay this out in words you can understand. You dumbasses weren't smart enough to just shoot the English until they left. And we were smart enough to do that. Don't know what else to tell you. It's not that hard. You just keep shooting them. Eventually they pack their shit and get the hell out. Ixnay to the rescue. Wikipedia says 1835.
Man.
And I never read it. Now I'm like, ooh, I should have read that one. So maybe I'll do the book club on that. I got to find out how big a book it is.
Oh, I think it's in 2 volumes. Potentially.
Yeah,
that would be kind of.
I also thought it was unusually huge and therefore maybe not a good candidate. But I don't know. If he's got quotes like that, then
maybe it's worth a year-long book club again.
No, it says 1835 and 1840 after his visit in 1831. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty directly after.
722 pages, which is about 12 Rules for Life. Yeah, Moby Dick, 12 Rules for Life, roughly in that range.
12 Rules for Life is like 300 pages. What are you talking about?
It was more than that, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like I spent a significant portion of my life on that. Let's see. Try to race you.
12 Rules for Life. No, it's less than 400 pages.
Wow.
Because we didn't even do Coda, and Coda is 355.
This version I have says 561, but I don't know. All the same.
Really? You must have really big text, because mine's big text. Pages have no words on them. It's great. Yeah, we could do Beyond Order. There's so much work doing 12 Rules for Life. I'm like, do I
Yeah,
want
it's
to do that
exhausting.
again?
Honestly, that traumatized me on book clubs for a while. Yeah, I
Fair.
did an in-person book club, and I unfortunately had to submit to another person running the marketing. The marketing was so bad, I got one person. It was still good. I wanted to tell you. So the guy, at least he had, I mean, because you and I did a couple of sessions there where it's just you and I.
Yeah.
And honestly, the guy had some decent reflections, but by taking all of the notes that you gave me, which was essentially the notes that you used for the 12 Rules for Life book club, that structure carries a lot. If you're, I almost want to say, especially, like, I guess if you're trying to herd cats, it can serve that function as well, but it does a really good job of keeping the pace if you have too few people. And it almost sort of simulates the thing. So we had 2 hours plus setup and takedown, and we still had to rush the last 20 minutes. And I was like, and this was a guy that he doesn't talk that much normally. And like, I
Yeah.
had met him before, and we went for a long time on this. It was an 80-page book, so the equivalent, it was a one-time book club. So the equivalent of our readings for 12 Rules for Life. And, but at the same time, sometimes we would go 3-4 hours, on that. So it makes sense. I want to say, for reserving an in-person space, especially when there's food, 3 hours is probably the sweet spot, I think.
Ooh. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Also, as a librarian, it costs like $20 to reserve, so really not a big deal. So
it's I was thinking about that today too, like the number of free things that are out there that people always complain. Like, it was weird. We had a few years ago, we had this artist kid in Atlanta. So right down the streets. Atlanta's like 3 hours from my house or something, I think, 3.5 maybe. And he was like, yeah, I'm an artist, and we're like, oh, that's cool. And Sally's trying to help him, obviously, because Sally tries to help all the artists, even though it never works, because they're all like herding cats, only worse. And he's like, yeah, there's no grants for artists. And I'm like, bro, there's grants for artists everywhere in the US. I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, no, there's not. He had never looked. I found 7 grants in 5 minutes that applied to him. And I was like, dude, you should apply for all these grants and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And I bet he didn't. Right? Because people love to blame money for their problems instead of, no, you're a lazy piece of garbage for your problems, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, you're such a terrible artist that you don't deserve a grant. I don't know.
And it's, a lot of it is just the willingness. I mean, this is another thing with the artist stuff. And I think one of the reasons why, like, I really appreciate Sally a lot is that she's also capable of just sitting there and doing the work. And that's an issue that comes up a lot with artists, where a lot of times, like, they've got the great idea, but then they can't execute, or they can't keep themselves sitting still long enough to actually do the thing. And you look at guys like, there's a lot of, obviously, I'm not endorsing the guy's entire life, but a guy that demonstrated this really well was Stephen King, because that guy is just monstrously committed and dedicated to just constantly sending his stuff out. I mean, he would get his stuff rejected, and then he would keep on sending it out to different places. He kept on trying. He had like a nail in his wall that he put all the rejection letters on, and it became so large that it like overflowed, and that it was like an enormous nail in his wall, and he just kept sticking these rejection letters, and he just had like this enormous, like, practically like a legal textbook worth of paper that was just like there. And yet it's like, well, you just kind of keep on staying in the game and keep on making your presence, and it's like, even the stuff that was frankly not really that good, if you sort of measure the success based on people picking it up and doing something with it, I mean, just ridiculously successful,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of success is perseverance, because most things fail. Most things that should succeed fail.
Yeah. And if you stay in the game for 6 months, you've already outcompeted 99% of the people.
Just showing up.
Yeah.
Showing up's a big deal. It's sort of the key to community, I hear.
Yeah.
I read that in a book somewhere.
Yeah, if you find out what that was, just let me know. You can...
I will.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah. But yeah, it really is wild. Like you see a lot of these little kind of smaller skills, and I wonder, like especially with the thing of the like the man child thing, all that stuff. Like a lot of this thing is not having to put yourself on the line, and having to like suffer rejection repeatedly. That's one of those ones that for sure gets things done. Where it's like if you want to succeed in something, you're probably going to wind up facing people shutting you down for absolutely no reason. You're going to get people that are just completely ignoring you, people not even knowing that you exist. The fact that what you're trying to offer probably does suck right now and you need to continually refine it. And it probably is going to be a failure for the first year or something. And just kind of deciding, like, is it something that you actually want? Do you want this bad enough that you can keep on showing up even if absolutely no one shows up to your group or to whatever sort of thing that you are trying to produce, and if nobody wants to cooperate with you, are you able to, if you know that you need like 3 or 4 people on a team and it's just you and it's going to take you 3 or 4 times as long to get things done, can you still keep on showing up and improving? And I think a lot of people, in a certain sense, there's a lot of people that go down that route and they probably shouldn't have, where it's like, oh, they actually did commit their entire life to it. Again, like this, it's nuts. This, like, these people wasting their lives on like sci-fi stuff and everything. And it's like, I like it for entertainment, but my goodness, there's some people that just throw 100% of everything into that, and then it like destroys their family life and everything. Yeah. It's like, guys, what are you doing? But it's like, if you just use that level of commitment on, I don't want to say actually anything else, but it's kind of at the point where you could find, there's enough things out there that you could probably stumble on something that was more worthwhile to spend that amount of time. We're talking like 4 to 8 hours a day or something like that. You could do a lot. Yeah.
Sally Joe, who shouldn't even be here, should be out Halloweening with her children. Screaming about the unfairness of the line isn't the way. What, the cruelty? Yeah, I know. Well, it's standards. Nobody wants standards and judgment and all of that. And with the flattening of democracy, which the Greeks knew wouldn't work and actually told you why. Yeah. Now I'm curious about de Tocqueville's, like, his take on democracy in general and all the misunderstandings and confusions that people, that Ignacio Peugeot convo was so good. And then Jonathan's gone completely off the rails. I'm like, what is happening? This is terrible. But like, man, this whole thing with Erica Kirk, and I'm just like, oh no, this is just, everything is blowing up like instantaneously. It's like zero time now. Nothing's transitioning, right? The minute something happens, boom, things just blow up immediately. Sally Joe claims the child's bucket is full of Halloween. Total success.
Nice.
The Viking child. I saw the Viking child on video. It's a little terror. He's going, castle. I couldn't believe. So we go to the Sword's castle, and they're flat out like, no, this was not defensive. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, bro, like, this is totally defensive. Like, and then when I got outside, because the first day we went, it rained. Because it's Ireland and it'll just start raining at random points during the day. At least this time of year. And we didn't get outside because there's a park behind it, basically surrounding it. And we did that, and I was like, wow, this is so obvious. This is defense. There's the river. The river's not that far from the ocean. The Vikings had ships, right? And then all of the narrow windows are on that side. Every other side has huge windows, so you can see whatever. Not that side. That side has very small, the arrow windows,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Oh yeah, no. This is totally not for defense. What are you, retarded? Of course, totally defensive. What is wrong with you? The main entrance faces the village. The other one, there is an entrance for people coming from boat, but like it's a defensible entrance,
Mhm.
and you're gonna get shot down by arrows from the high ground. I was like, what do you mean it wasn't defensive? Of course it's defensive. Have you
Mhm.
heard about the Vikings? What is wrong with these people?
Mhm.
Oh, you'll like this. So Malahide Castle, that's the Talbot family. Have you ever heard of the store Talbots?
The name seems familiar, but I don't know what they
That's
do.
them.
Okay.
So the woman was telling us, like, yeah, the wealthy families used to send people, the second and third sons who weren't inheriting,
Mm.
they'd send them abroad with a bunch of money, and she let slip, the governments would usually help them. The governments in the countries they went to would usually help them, like fund them. And I'm like,
Mm.
hierarchy is so important, and we've so lost it, and it's so bad that now everyone's playing Napoleon with money. That's what they're doing. Instead of troops, they're using money, and they're playing
Mm.
Napoleon. But like, I don't know what's going to happen when we flatten out the economy like that, because that's what we're doing. And I'm like, I think we need ultra wealth. I don't like this,
Mm.
and the way they're handling everything, like in the past, control would shift to the younger generation faster, sooner than it does now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. But you
now,
got like with the Queen of England living to like 200 years old, and like all these.
which isn't a
Yeah.
problem if she steps down
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking also, you mentioned the thing of like there being more diversity in poverty, which is 1,000% correct because I've seen that very well firsthand. But I think that'll probably be what you wind up seeing with the economy flattening down is that you'll just see an insane amount more emergence going.
Because they don't think in, like, when they're thinking in hierarchy, they don't think about the pyramid. See my animation,
Mhm.
right? So they don't, like, yeah, of course there's more diversity in poverty because it's a larger bucket. It's not
Yeah.
that hard. It's not that hard. And yeah, of course, wealthy people think diversity is strength because their idea of diversity is other wealthy people, and they're just not that much different.
Yeah.
It's like, but at the bottom there is, you let in the dirty poor people. Like, that's not good. So yeah, I don't know. Sally Joe. Yeah, tech offsets abilities, glasses, hearing aids, physical strength. Right. And then you get Harrison Bergeron, which is a wonderful short story in my Warner's English short stories book. Age affect is reduced. Yep. Well, yeah, without carrying on legacies. And then I'm going to do a video on this. So inheritance and mark-to-market accounting combined is evil. Like, and there's nothing about it that's redeemable. So Malahide Castle turns out to be the first castle, I believe, in the world, according to them, that was ever, or it's really just an estate. It's not really a castle, but whatever. It was a castle, but it's just an estate that was ever sold off, like auctioned off, in an open auction. So before that, all the auctions were, closed to the other elites. This is an open auction worldwide. So it's the first one. It's in the 70s to like 73, something like that. So not even that long ago. So they were talking about the way it happened was the government was just like, no, we're changing the inheritance laws. And, we want like 50% of the total inherited value. And it's like, wait a minute. So what you're doing is, well, first of all, you're stealing other people's property. You're a scumbag, and you should probably suffer in hell for that forever. But maybe you will, and I'll be vindicated there too. Um, but like, you are destroying a momentum legacy over time. Like, you're destroying it utterly. You're just completely annihilating it. Now, on the other hand, you should visit Malahide Castle. It's beautiful because you can actually make a day of it. Because the grounds are huge and gorgeous, and there's the butterfly thing, and there's the gardens, the walled garden, and there's the castle itself that you can tour, and there's like restaurants and shops on the premise, small ones, but yeah, we got a seat inside just before the crowd. So that was nice. But
Nice.
yeah, like, it's weird that you would value something at whatever because it's an arbitrary value, right? Like, my house will always be worth more to me monetarily than anybody else because I have memories here,
Yeah.
right? And moving stuff is expensive, right? Whereas a new house of the same size, it's cheaper because it's new. So you have to move everything in. Like, there's nothing to move out. It's a lot cheaper, right? If I move out of this place, I have to move into a new place. It's too expensive for moving, not one. Right. And so that's part of the problem. Sally Joe, like, taxing people for other people's services. No, taxes are a spreading out of expenses, actually. That's their purpose. And denying them those services. Well, that's not gross communist bullshit. That's not communism. I know why Sally's saying that. She's wrong about communism. It's okay. Also, communism is a governmental system and not an economic system. And Karl Marx is retarded, but I've been over this before with people, and they don't understand that the fact that a 3 to 5-year-old will repeat what is in your book means your book is low IQ. But whatever. we won't belabor it. No, I'll belabor that point all day long. Who am I kidding? So yeah, I mean, imagine taking away the value built up by your ancestors over decades and just saying, no, we're just going to tax you on it at an arbitrary number, because again, it has to be an arbitrary number. Like, why would you do that? Because almost no one's going to be able to afford to keep items. And the ones that will be impoverished by trying to hold on to those items.
Yeah.
The whole situation was just absolutely horrible. And then there was this big, there was a group trying to keep the castle intact. So they went to the auction and bid on stuff, but they had to bid people from around the world. And they only got about half the stuff back. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this is just the worst possible catastrophe you could think of, because they just destroyed this legacy for no reason. And the Talbots just moved. Like, they had other houses. So all they did was screw Ireland. Ireland screwing Ireland for no reason. Their own government completely screwed them. Yeah. It's Sally Joe. No one respects the people who build the wells. Well, they do. They just don't know that someone built them anymore because everything's magic now. Or not enough people. Yeah, well, everything's magic. It's all a video game. And nobody even thinks about who, even with video games, nobody thinks about who builds video games. How hard it is. And one of my very good friends from back in the day, I haven't talked to him recently. He's a bigwig in the video game industry, actually. I don't know why he's never hired me, bastard. He gave me a place to live when I was homeless, so it's fine, totally fine, believe me. And 1,200 meg ibuprofen that took the edge off my migraine, thankfully. He was involved in something where the guy, man, I can't remember the name of the company today. It's a famous case though. the guy funded his video game project, and he was running it. And then the court, like, you can't do this, and they pulled the plug on the whole thing. He had to lay everybody off for
Wow.
no reason. Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. Sally Joe law: video games are a human right law. Well, that's people think that now. People think internet's a human right. It's like, no. Getting punched in the face is a human right. Working for your food is a human right. Those are the only two human rights. Everything else is a struggle. Sorry. Yeah, having to feed yourself, human right. Getting punched in the face, human right. Everything else, you're on your own, kid. Good luck. You better cooperate with somebody, you lazy bastard.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, just the sheer amount of stuff that you can get done also just by cooperation it just so dramatically speeds up absolutely everything. And
it's weird. It's almost like you couldn't even write a book by yourself.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have pretty artwork and formatting on the pages and all of the other things. Let me get it. Actually, the next page should have a thing, right? All of the other things that it takes, like all these corrections and help from Gustav's and Bruce. Yeah, it's almost like if you did quote write a book without an editor and an artist, you might end up with bad clip art and then not recognizing quotes from your own book when somebody says them back to you.
Yeah. But if you do cooperate, then you probably get some cool costumes, and some cool stuff that you can make. So
just remember, the castle is greater than the cathedral, as every child knows. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's why the castle is in the middle of the village. Oh, wait. Muppet. Like, so stupid. Sally Joe. Also, it's exponentially productivity increasing. Exactly. That's what people don't understand. Exponentially productivity increasing to work with others. Two people together are more productive than two people individually. Yeah, by far. It's not additive. Two people can be as productive as four people, depending on the type of person. Well, yeah, kind of. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. It just, there's a bunch of things you can't do by yourself. And that if you manage to pull them off, it's going to be such a cheap show that you're going to regret it forever, whether you realize that or not.
I'll even say, like, the art that Sally did for me for the other project that I have, that the fact that I saw that she was working on that and how awesome that was led me to work sometimes 12, 14-hour days and everything just to, like, catch up on the other stuff that I had going on.
Right.
And a lot of that time was also overlap, so it was like I was doing more than the required amount or the reasonable amount of work in some of those hours, because I was working and then also multitasking some other stuff for these things. So yeah, I mean, that was one of those things where it's like, well, if there was no one else doing something or being encouraging or whatever else, but I guess while we're here, I'll just kind of mention to Sally that finally her copy of the workbook should be coming soon, and then I'm gonna send a giant care package of just a ton of stuff her way once I get that. So it'll be good. I should be sending. There's a lot of people I've been promising mail to for like the last 6 months, and I'm probably gonna start sending out mail now that all my other unfinished business is complete. So
cool.
We get there. But yeah, cool. I actually haven't seen the workbook in person yet. Yeah, I haven't. So that should be pretty soon. And yeah, you'll get extra copy of the actual book too. That'll be in the care package. I'll give you like 2 copies probably or something. One to keep, one to give away.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great lie and deception is that people do things by themselves. And there are exceptions, but largely they don't. You know, it's just not how it works. And then people get confused and they just think like, well, that person did that by themselves. I should be able to do this by myself. And it's like, no, they didn't do that by themselves. You know,
Yeah.
you can look at a Steve Jobs all day long. And Steve Jobs, a no talent ass clown. He was very good at forcing people to do things, but that's correct. Sally Joe, knowing Mark could visit every 1.75 years keeps me doing more renovation. That's funny. It wasn't was it 1.75 years? No, Thunder Bay was a long time ago. Wasn't Thunder Bay 2022? Even if it was 2023. Was it really only 1.75 years? It might have been. I don't know. I can't math. I could never math. So that keeps you doing. Honestly, Sally, I thought I was going to get Josh to fly out there. Josh and I'm just going to go do a bunch of work. I was this close. Josh is a buddy of ours from Bridges of Meaning. It's so close. Oh, she only guessed. That's fine. Also, Castle, I didn't tell you. So I shipped out 2 of these to Joey. One for Joey and one for Pastor Paul. And he sent me $50.
Nice.
So I'm officially a published author now.
Yeah, you have already sold. You sold 2 copies of the book.
Sold 2 copies of the book.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's beyond awesome.
It's happening.
Joey made me an official published author. This is great.
That is great.
Yeah. So
this is another one of those things I was thinking too. Well, also with the thing about like the flattened economy, but also like flattening down cooperation. A lot of times, people always kind of have a thing like, oh, I would do this, but I need to get this thing out of it, or we need to come to some sort of agreement on whatever sort of thing. And it's like, well, a lot of times people are willing to do stuff for free. Or if you do stuff for free, a lot of times there's a huge amount of benefits that you get out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff working on a bunch of the project that I've been working on between you and others, like I have dramatically improved my resume to a point where I actually can't catch up fast enough to update it. And I'm actually intimidated about updating my resume because there's too many things to add. But it's like, that's just from just offering like, hey, I'd be glad to do stuff. Or like there's the project that Sally and I were working on. One of the things for the website is I just started reaching out to places, asking places that I am familiar with, that I like, that I would approve of anyway, and asked them if they found anything objectionable about, which I knew that they wouldn't, but asking their permission beforehand, and then asking, could I give free advertising to your thing, and explicitly saying, having your name attached to my thing, if you find that there's no no discrepancies or anything like that with your values, would just add some legitimacy by anchoring myself with you. And each time they said yes, and there was even a point where I actually asked, and this was part of it, I wanted access to a particular piece of art that had already been produced, and I wanted to have access to it. So I asked permission, and they said, oh, you actually do have to go through our copyrights department to go and do that. And I knew, one, yes, I really did want the piece of art, but I really as much wanted to have the thing saying that I had received permission from them to put it on there.
Right.
Because that anchors me to a large organization. A small, anyone could get it, anyone could go and do that. But who is actually going to go through and inquire and then go through the process of filling out the paperwork to go through the copyright department, which got approved? All of that is all in there. It works. It's all there. And everything. But I was like, man, there's so much stuff. And so I wound up connecting 3 additional things. And now it's like, oh, this is official. There were $0 exchanged. None whatsoever. A handful of emails, 1 piece of paperwork. you know, and then all of the stuff looks way more legitimate and actually is, you know, and it's like, oh
Right.
wow, you can do a lot, and that was all for free, you know, and yeah, I mean, I always think of the that guy, the FBI hostage negotiator, that he went and, you know, he was doing consulting business and everything, and they there was the company, he would charge a lot, you know, he'd say, oh yeah, you know, for a month I'll charge you $25,000 or something like that to coach you and your team and these other guys. And so yeah, we don't have that money, but we do have a magazine, and it is distributed nationally. We just don't have a lot of money, but we do, you know, do this thing. And he said, yeah, you know, I'll cut the price like to a third if you put me on the cover of it and write an article. And then it's just like, well, he wanted to show his family that he was on the front of a magazine. And it's like, that was worth way more to him. And it also got him more business. And it's just like, yeah. So he worked for a third what he would normally charge. And yet he got way more long term, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, negotiation is amazing and no one knows how to do it. So I think book wise, it's manners and then negotiation.
Mm.
And that'll be a nice base.
Yeah.
For our soon to be press. Because at some point we're just gonna have to become our own press. That'll be the next project, Castles.
Oh my goodness.
Well, what am I gonna do? Like, nobody wants to cooperate. I'm like, all right, well, I've built things before. I'll build this one too, I guess. Like,
yeah.
What am I gonna do? Everyone wants to be a jerk? Fine. Jerk away.
Yeah.
I will again succeed. And then if you come crawling to me, I'm gonna be like, sorry, bro. I already put in all the work. I'm done. I don't need you.
Yeah.
People do that themselves all the time. I've had so many people come back to it, like, and I'm like, it's too late. Like, I don't know. I don't need you anymore. Like, I needed you. You weren't there. Now you want something. Too bad. I'm not putting myself out. It's not happening. I'll cooperate with people who have something to offer, but I'm not cooperating with leeches and parasites. I'm not doing it. So
I like the press idea, though. I'm looking forward to the next book. Once we get these ones rolling and everything. Like I said, the other thing that's really cool is that now that a lot of the groundwork has been done, the stuff that I want to work on with Sally next year after the board game is done, is the type of stuff that it would take 2-3 weeks, like really quick, to just knock out a handful. Like a lot of the work that I've been doing, it'd take, I had gotten fast enough at some of this stuff that I could do it in 4 or 5 hours, bang out, you know, a new 40-page little book or whatever, and do the ebook version, the printable version, have those different things already. And so a lot of these things, like, this has been very much like a building year, and there's so many of these skills and bits of tech and relationships that had to get developed this year, and that now that it's there, it's all you got to do is just roll with it. I mean,
yeah,
if we had to produce from the notes the Navigating Wisdom community book, we could definitely do it in a third the time, you know. Yeah, it would not be that hard. I got way faster at editing, way faster at formatting and everything. So I think once the manner stuff comes around, as long as we have just a lot of notes, we could. Now, you know, we made a lot of sort of predictions about how quickly things were going to go with this, and I think I do agree with what you said before, that the timing is all, you know, falling right in place.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think that as far as things falling into place, there would be a lot fewer obstacles now that this groundwork has been done. I mean, you never really think of the little stuff.
Always
like,
how it is.
Yeah. And it's like, you never think of like, oh, the page weight and, you know, the actual book size and the font and the what color of off-white the background is supposed to be.
Well, when you run a course the first time, you knock over a bunch of obstacles. Yeah. So when you run it the second time, they're not there anymore.
Yeah. So it's exciting. Yeah. I'm looking forward to all of it. It's going to be really cool. So we'll keep doing it. I mean, yeah. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how the negotiation long term. I think it'll also shape up once we get the once we get.
What is Sally talking about? Negotiation ties back to Dr. P. In what way?
I don't know.
What did Mr. Self-Help have to say about?
But yeah, I think when the manners book is done, it'll probably become the way that manners became kind of obvious after these other ones. I think the negotiation stuff will become more obvious because there's a lot of really good concepts out there that are not communicated as precisely as they could be, or maybe some of the negotiation concepts.
It's weird. Like I'm stuck in this weird sort of hell, right? Because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, propositions are what got us here, and then I have to use propositions to get us out. But we'll see. I want more feedback from the book here. But I think if I'm pulling off the trick that I think I'm pulling off, I can do it. But it's still a lot of work. It takes like that trick. I mean, the trick pulled in here is not in the notes, right?
Yeah,
because it's all about how you're introducing things and what order and like the layering and all these. It's all these other writing things that I'm a little rusty on, to be honest. So, well, it'll be interesting to see if we pull it off. Joey unfortunately hasn't read the book yet. It's like, damn it, Joey. Like I need to read it. But hopefully Pastor Paul has, and then I can get his thing, Sally Joey is a whole deal about if you're in a relationship, you're a slave or a tyrant, and negotiate. Yeah, I agree. Like that's the problem with Dr. Peterson is he opens the door to a bunch of things and then doesn't talk about them, like hierarchy, like being the biggest one. So Sava. Fun to help, but nothing to offer. Well, that's not true. Everybody has something to offer. Like actually.
Yeah. If nothing else, like just reading it, right? And then
join the Discord and you can just read stuff and help us out. Like feedback is important. Like I didn't understand this is probably the most helpful thing in the world. So you can watch all my videos and tell me which parts you didn't understand. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Critical feedback on every video I have. It doesn't have to be public. It could be on the Discord server or whatever. But that would help. Everyone's got something.
Yeah.
So everyone's got things they can offer. Definitely. Yeah. Any kind of feedback is an offering. Right. And it's weird. So Kelsey, you're gonna love this. So I used to do very long form notes for Vanderclay on like all his relevant videos. So not all his videos because like he's Sunday sermon and all this other stuff that I can't help with. And one day someone was like, these notes are great, but they need to be timestamped. And I'm like, why don't you pay me, MFer? Like, are you kidding me right now? I'm doing this for free and you want it done your way with timestamps. Yeah. I was like, what a ridiculous ask. I give you something for free. And you complain. Like, step up back. Let's settle this correctly right now. Sally Joe, tell us how we don't make sense or how we are going wrong. Goals. Yeah. Or start a YouTube channel and just redo my stuff in a different way. The same points, but make it to a different audience. That would be that's what I envisioned for a network. Was like, no, we're just gonna give the exact same video to 5 audiences with 5 different delivery people, right? Like that's what we need to do. I came very close today because we're gonna have a little bit of a crunch, right? Because Sarah's gone right now, and obviously I didn't get anything done, and she barely got the edits done for the. Well, I finished the edits for the Peugeot video. She did all the hard work, and then I just added 2 pieces, right? Did a quick recording and added the intro, animation, and a fade. That's all I did. It's not much. It's all stuff I can do too. But there was no time for me to record new videos and stuff. So we're gonna have to rely on that one. Then I was like, I could do a short. And I was like, I could experiment with this new way of doing shorts. And you'll see when the Peugeot video comes out what I have in mind, because I did it in the Peugeot intro. I was like, yeah, nice. I could do that. And it's silly. Like, I just don't even have the time, and I would have to break everything down. Like, there's so much work would have to go into that. Because I have to go and distill my work and then recapitulate it all in new language. Like, I know how. Like, if I didn't have my illness, I could pull all this off. It'd be no problem. Be no problem. But and the reason why I could do it today is because I'm recovering from an illness, so my immune system is temporarily rebalanced for some very small window, which I have to take full advantage of. But like I said, I got a bunch of work done today. I got some emails sent out.
Nice.
So yeah, I got the barcodes, I got the ISBN stuff. It's all done. It's ready to go. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're really ready for Cliff this time.
That's exciting. Yeah. It's going to be so cool to just see it real. I mean, it's already real, right? You already sold 2.
Yeah, but
got a few
I want it on the website for pre-order. When people are making pre-order,
and
I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm going to be sad.
That's
everything is sad until that happens, and then everything gets happy again. But it'd be nice to just totally not have to worry about that anymore, especially because I don't have to handle the freaking store.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, because like I've got Sarah's help and stuff, so handling the store is not really that much of a problem. But like, we never, because of all the suppression, we never launched.
Yeah.
And we've got everything in place, and it costs a fortune, but nothing's catching. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do some anti-wizard spells or something. So
we'll see how it goes. And it's one of the things I told Cliff when I met him on Tuesday. I said, a lot of times, a lot of people will privilege money, or a lot of people will privilege time over their money. And I said, over both of those, I privilege having clear headspace and the opportunity to continue doing more stuff and not focus on these previous things, and just getting the project out of the way and then be able to move on to the next. Because it's a continuation anyway of the previous thing. But I just want to see the thing rolling and actually like sticking and everything. That way I can make my next move. Because for now, like I have to wait until this thing happens, and then that way we get the feedback, we find out how it's going and everything. And then kind of be able to start making the following moves. Because the same thing, like there's other projects, including the Manners book, that it's like, well, we don't want to start delving into that and then take away time, energy, and attention from this until we're sure that it's
I can't until the pre-orders are live.
Yeah,
I just can't touch anything else. I'm completely stuck to this. And all the other work that's going on is actually agent-based AIs. I've got them working on all kinds of things, which is good when they work, but they require a lot of hand-holding. So it's nice though, because it's not as good as architecture work, right? When I'm just like designing things, but management work is pretty good, because then you don't need to throw in a bunch, So, yeah, it's too bad. I got to get this patent thing off my freaking. So close, so close, so very wicked close. It's just, and I'm relying on other people again. I was like, oh, I hate other people, please. But it's all like, if people don't cooperate, there's nothing you can do. You're completely put out, right? You got to get those people to cooperate. So I think it'll be fine. It's just now we have a narrow window, because once Thanksgiving hits, we're screwed. Everything changes. Like, you've got you've got 2.5 weeks in November to get stuff rolling. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have momentum, you're not getting momentum in the latter half of November. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize how big a deal that is. But the November window is really good. Like, if you hit it
is.
bang, everything works. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that Cliff is like on board for next week. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And it sounds like he doesn't really do anything for Thanksgiving either. So at least like when we start kind of rolling into that for the actual shipping and everything, I think there shouldn't be delays there either. You know?
Yeah,
and
I don't even want to open the shipping until the second week of December, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll let him decide if he wants
safe
to
bet.
do it. Yeah, well, one of the things we could play a trick. We could say, early order, blah blah blah, and let him.
Yeah,
because I don't.
Whatever he thinks is best.
I'm not shipping anything. I don't give two craps.
Yeah,
but we need the pre-orders to determine how many copies we get. The more copies we print up front, the better. So
yeah. And and one of the things he said is that thankfully the workflow that he has for making books is not only something that he has actually optimized now compared to before, and he's able to produce them better, but he's actually looking to even shift his business even more in the printing, because he's a lot of marketing. Like, he's marketing and graphic design is a lot of what he does, but he has all the gear for printing, and he actually wants to make that a more substantial part of his business, and we're his primary contacts for that, for the printing and everything. So we'll just continue to do that. And he was like, he even said to be able to have these books in his little foyer thing, so that people can see the stuff that he's made. And then maybe even check that out. But there's a lot of interesting stuff. There's other cool things. I mean, I've been even kind of thinking about this just in the general thing, but right across literally right across the street, next time you and Sarah come through the air, we'll have to check this place out, because I just found out it exists. So many places that I just pass right by. It's right there. But they have this thing like the Billville something, and it's this mishmash, like, artists. I don't even know exactly. It's kind of it's like World Market, but for like local and unusual things. So they'll have.
It's like Etsy. It's an Etsy in store form.
It's like in-person Etsy, where you can go and you can rent a shelf or an entire section or whatever, and it's like it looks like a small storefront. It's actually massive and 2 stories, and so you walk in, and it looks like a decent size, kind of like medium-sized store, and then you realize that's only half, and you pass through a doorway that looks like a doorway to somebody's bathroom, probably. And you just go, and it's an entirely additional store with even like another register. And then there's stairs that go upstairs, and it's huge. But they have all kinds of random stuff. They've got like historical scented candles. So it's like, this candle smells like the fall of Rome. And then it's like, a little like wax model of Rome, and then you set it on fire. And I guess there's some sort of like smell. But yeah, there's a bunch of these stuff things. But then it's like, here's local vinegar, here's local honey, here's local clothes, and all these different things. And then they even have so they got people selling books and art and all kinds of other things and antiques, and it's all different sections. But I was like, that's an interesting one, that if there wound up being like a collection of everything from books, virtue cards, all those things, that would be something that even from afar, people are just using this place and just like, I'll just have a shelf, and then people can see like, this is from this maker. And they have that sort of thing. But there's probably other ones other than just this place. But that idea of an in-person Etsy, I had never, seen that executed that way before a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty cool that there's stuff like that now.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I'm thinking of other things. We're always trying to figure out what the next move is. And then this big shift with Jonathan Peugeot and stuff. I'm like, what are you guys doing? No, academia bad. That's what got us here. Stop. Go in the other direction again. Why are you doing this?
Mhm.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
awful. But we'll see if we can shift the tide on Sunday. Sunday should shift the tide.
That would be. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Ignacio's video with Mature got like 3.4K views. I
Nice.
was like, whoa. But Jonathan tweeted that one out. So if he
Mhm.
tweets mine out, then I can get those kind of numbers.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's
Well,
kind of what I'm looking for. I need numbers like that on and I've had a couple of big videos, but it's
Yeah.
it's been a while. It's
Mhm.
like it's been a minute. And let's see what Matrix got. Matrix is, it says 520. Yeah, we just broke 500. That's it. Terrible.
Mhm.
Terrible. I thought for sure the Matrix video was gonna crack 1,000.
Well, we'll
But
see.
we've got to get out of suppression hell.
Yeah.
I might actually start calling people and saying, like, listen, do you know anybody at these companies that's in management? Because we gotta get this fixed. It's not a hard problem to see, and it's not a hard problem to fix. So
Yeah.
Sally Joe, getting the virtues on an 8.5 by 11 print would be amazing if it was high quality.
No.
I'm
I
down
don't think
there,
it would be
Sally.
hard.
We'll get you there.
He even told me he's got like a corner rounding machine or something like that. He's got all these weird things, and so yeah, you totally do it.
Well, that would be interesting too if we did like a 7-chapter book on the virtues.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've already got the art done, right? And then you could
Right,
have,
that's what I mean. Like the
yeah.
the
And then you could
chapters
have
are
like a
just
little
like
side
cards.
thing of you could have like a little side thing of the cards, and then you can have the card book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We've already got 5 books in the series planned out.
Bang.
So
Just
yeah,
like that.
easy.
Boom. Well, it's momentum built up over 5 freaking years. It all started with the notes that Manuel was like, you need to share your notes. Share my notes. You won't even read them. And then he could. It's like, you had no problem. Okay. I thought I was the only one that could read my notes. I guess not. That's great. Yeah. Wait till I go into the shed and like actually go through my old papers. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how we'll see how all this stuff goes. I mean, even the whole thing of the momentum. I mean, I'm not sure. I make no claims of making predictions on your health or whatever, but the fact is that momentum can carry a lot. If we start seeing at least just getting a lot of these things done, a lot of the stuff that you're having trouble with the productivity on, I think might just wind up falling into place if the timing is right.
Hopefully, yeah. Some of it's just trauma.
Of course. Yeah.
A lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Oh man, the demons today, bro.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
The week I've been having, there was something relatively minor, but the type of thing that would like make somebody's day like go downhill happen, and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I was just like, "This is like day at the beach compared to
this is nothing." Yeah.
Like I was just like, yeah, no, I actually had zero emotions when that happened because I'm just like completely fried from the other stuff. Yeah, it's absurd how much stuff has been, especially this week. I mean, I mentioned it last Tuesday to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, it's October." They're like, "That's just what October's like in this business." It's just like, yeah, it's just like this, But
you get Sally all excited. Prince with well, I think she means with glorious rounded corners.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
It would be good. Yeah, it would be nice to get all that stored up momentum actually. Yeah. Look at this. You could, damn it. Castle, if you got her derailed and I
No.
don't get my other characters for the
Oh, no.
board game.
See, this is why, like, that's what I'm saying, is that I can't even tell her the other artistic ideas that I have for the other projects. I can't tell you because,
I know.
you know, and
I
it's
know.
just like all of this stuff, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I've got to wait until like March, probably.
Probably.
So,
Well, we'll see. Things
yeah.
could come together quicker.
It might.
We'll see how
Yeah.
things go. All right. On that note, everybody, I think I'm going to end the stream. So there'll be no more lies and deception on Halloween, which is the day of lies and deception. Castle, what do you got for closing thoughts on lies and deception, inadvertent or not? Because I think most of it actually is inadvertent. We'll call it not sort of deliberate, knowing, and intentional, despite the fact that Anselman seems to think so.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, probably the response to the deception is just intentionality and paying attention. That type of thing, you know, also attending to the stuff that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that people are going to try to use deception on that is going to be extra compared to the type of things that you actually need to be paying attention to. So the basic stuff of just kind of like making sure that everybody's fed, taking care of the necessities, doing all the stuff that you have to do. A lot of times, you know, it's the people who have way too much time on their hands, or too many excess resources, and, you know, feeling like they have a lack of meaning or whatever. Whereas you wind up getting a lot more meaning, a lot more wisdom by just being around other people, doing basic tasks, things with your body, you know, just keeping things in order. A lot of that stuff will kind of just make those things go away. And there's so many things like, I'll just kind of notice there's so many things like, oh, did you hear about this horrible thing? And all these people are lying about all this stuff. And it's like, I was washing dishes, you know, like I've just been folding towels and washing dishes and doing other stuff. I have no idea what other stuff is going on. Yes, of course it's bad, but it's like also it hasn't really affected me. And so that doesn't mean that it's not having an effect, but I have a whole lot more influence on the stuff I can actually influence if I'm attending to them and being intentional about that. And then also just kind of surrounding yourself with people that are also paying attention and being intentional, and maybe you can sort of outsource that cognition. So if there is something that you're missing, that at least they caught it, they spent their time on it so that you don't have to, like Ixanon, you know, reading was a Wheel of Time. And so you did it so that we don't have to. And that's a very valuable service. So thank you.
Ixanon, tell the truth or at least don't lie. Shut up and get things done. Excellent advice. Yeah, I think, look, as Castle is doing an excellent job of pointing out, the key to deception is to realize it exists. And people lie. And people lie often because they're dumb. Like, or they don't understand something. And they think they do. And we're so caught up in everybody having an opinion and stuff like that. But the solution is shut up and get things done, to go ahead and get the work that needs to be done, because it has to get done whether you're being lied to or deceived or not. And I would rather have a harsh critic around me who's honest than somebody who's nice all the time. Because if you're nice all the time, are you lying? I don't know. Are you being deceptive? Almost certainly, because there's always things that I can improve, right? Or maybe I can't improve them, but I need to be reminded that they're not as good as they need to be, or should be, or can be, right? And then maybe I shouldn't do them. It was funny because earlier today, Sally Joe was saying, "Oh yeah, Sarah sent me like these 5 thumbnails for today's live stream, and they were all excellent." And she said, "Her worst thumbnails are better than your best thumbnails ever were." And I was just like, "Yeah, absolutely." You know, I mean, I was a graphic designer a billion years ago, and I was okay at it, right? But like, not as good as she is at that. And I probably never was, right? And yeah, it's Sally Jones. The AI has no non-verbal information. That's right. Thus making AI insane. Right. And we're mirroring or mimicking that insanity. See Weizenbaum's work from Elisa, the original non-AI version of AI that talks. And that was a deception. And people were fooled by that deception, despite him telling you, no, this is a deliberate deception. And if you need to know more about deception, watch my Matrix video and make everybody you know watch it too. And look out for the book, and then there'll be more books because our momentum's still rolling and we're going to keep it rolling. So look, thanks for joining, everybody. Should be a stream next week. Until Thanksgiving gets close, and then we might have to skip a couple weeks or a week or something. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But stay tuned. Tell your friends, threaten your enemies, make everybody watch Navigating Patterns. The Mark of Wisdom project is well and truly underway still, and it will continue to gain momentum. If you don't believe me, you can watch my video on momentum, because of course I have a video about that. And look, have a lovely week. Don't worry. Lots of demons today, tonight, and then it should be downhill from there. And take care of yourselves and each other by being better. The world needs you.